once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I cannot remember watching an NFL team that is this disjointed and lopsided than watching the New York Jets. If anyone even watched that last night. Hey, good morning. It's Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I don't remember seeing a defense this good and an offense that is so impossibly frustrating to watch, Perloff. Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline watching the Jets. They're now at 500. Him coming back to this team, I don't even think Aaron Rodgers could help this offense. They are awful.
But how can you be frustrated with a team that everyone knows is incredibly bad on the side? If you watch that Giants game last week, you know it's the worst unit in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
So how can it be frustrating? Here's the thing that is killing the Jets fans, I think. There's expectations. Honestly, this is a awful team masquerading as a decent team because of that defense. And I think there should be no hope. And then, you know what's funny? They're going to win eight or nine games. And there's going to be even more false hope. And it's going to be odd and ugly and disjointed. As you said, it's as imbalanced as an NFL team can possibly be.
I can't remember one being this lopsided.
I mean, the Super Bowl Ravens went 5 games without scoring a touchdown or something like that and won half those games.
Okay, but that was at a different time in the NFL when we weren't passing in the way that we're passing now. It's just so much more pronounced.
Well, you were going against the all-time Chargers number 31 ranked pass defense. I mean, actually, well, the funny thing, too, look at the final box score. Zach Wilson had 260 passing yards, and Justin Herbert in the entire Chargers offense only had 191 yards.
Oh, listen, I'm not giving the Chargers that much credit here, but they won the game they were in. They realized they get up 2 scores. Good night.
It speaks to that imbalance of the Jets. Yeah. It's bizarre. You know, when you're on teeter-totter and one side is too heavy for the other, that's exactly what this Jets team is.
I mean, the defense must just want to go in the locker room and fight the offense. It'd be a credit if this team doesn't completely fracture, and I think that's the Aaron Rodgers effect, right? He's dangling this carrot out there to everyone. I'm going to come back from the Achilles. I'm going to be good, and I'm going to come back and, knight on a white horse and come save this team. Dude is going to get hurt again behind that offensive line. There is no chance that a 40-year-old guy who's going to be 40 in December is going to be behind that offensive line. And we're going to see the next year of Aaron Rodgers be put in jeopardy because there's no chance the dude's going to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the funny thing. If, say, that Aaron Rodgers does not tear his Achilles in the 4th play, what if he's out there all year with this offensive line? Do you think he'd still be on the field by week 9? I'm not sure he'd stay because Rodgers, as brilliant as he is, has been injury prone in the last second half of his career. He probably would have separated a shoulder or had a concussion. So I'm not sure there's any panacea here. I don't think there is this idea that the defense is going to get mad at the offense. I think that happened last year with them, didn't it?
Yeah, they were like openly wearing T-shirts to support the backup quarterback.
Right,
was part of it.
I don't think they can get mad at this offense because it's too bad. It's almost like a pity. I'm not going to fight you because you're too. It's like when your little brother is 8 years younger than you. You're not going to beat him up on the regular because
right.
I think,
a fair fight.
I don't think the Jets defense they know this offense is terrible. There's no reason for them to be frustrated. I mean.
Well, but because of what you said, this team might win 8 games. They might be right there, and they might have a shot at a playoffs, and they're going to look back at games like this. And listen, if the offense for the Jets was a little better, maybe the Chargers are playing a different game. I don't know. I don't know if the Chargers are capable of playing a better game, but maybe these games don't look as ugly. I just think you're going to see such a missed opportunity, but you cannot, Rodgers can't come back for this. He cannot come back for this. And by the way, he cannot come back for this. And I just got to say it. I don't know if anyone's going to care here, but the general manager for the Jets is not good, okay? He's not. He might be fine. He's not this end-all, be-all wizard that people are making him out to be. He's dining off of Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner as 2 first-round picks. That offensive line stinks. He's been in the building and had, 4 drafts? Mekhi Becton's the only one on there. I know Vera Tucker's hurt. I can't.
We're getting a little WFAN. New York fired the Jets GM. That's some PTSD there.
I was saying
but I'm not sure people are calling Joe Douglas a wizard exactly.
He got helped out because Rodgers wanted to come. And by the way, Rodgers himself might not be that great of a GM because Alan Lazard is bad. Randall Cobb's not on the field. And these are 2 guys who he insisted, we think, needed to be, with him, along with Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, and he sucks too.
So tell me who wears this. Is it going to be Joe Douglas, the GM? Is it going to be Robert Saleh, the head coach? I know what you're going to. Or is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Zach Wilson? Is it going to be the entire offense? Who wears it at the end of the day?
Zach Wilson is going to wear it because he's out there looking awful. Yeah. But I think who should be wearing it as much as Wilson, because he's just dreadful, but as much as him should be Rodgers and also Nathaniel Hackett.
What? Rodgers wearing it? That sounds a little too far. Because he brought in Alan Lazard, that's why the offense can't move?
No, but did you see the ball just bounce? Like, Lazard is pre-snap penalty, not a great receiver. They're criticizing him on the broadcast because he's not fighting for the ball. It's not the only thing wrong, of course not.
My gosh. How about the fact that you didn't block a single Chargers defensive lineman for more than a half second all game? If Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, who doesn't even play, are the problem with this team, I think it's Saleh and Joe Douglas, and Zach Wilson's not even going to wear it because nobody thinks he's an NFL level quarterback right now. But honestly, I think Saleh's going to come out of this in trouble.
Oh, probably. But if they win 8 games, he's not, because they're going to look like they overachieved.
Do you think they bring him back if they're 8-9?
Who knows? They're going to do whatever Rodgers says, and that's the thing. You've given him so much power in the organization, and I get why. He's Aaron Rodgers. You haven't had a quarterback like this since Joe Namath, or even Joe Namath wasn't even like this. But you gave him so much power, you're going to have him handpick the head coach. He's probably just going to ask you to elevate Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah. So you can go for 64-yard field goals again. I don't know.
We'll see. And the other thing, don't think you can predict what Aaron Rodgers is going to do in an offseason. For all I know, he might want to go some other team next year.
No, he'll stay.
Oh, yeah, he'll stay maybe 1 year. I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers, do you think you know what Aaron Rodgers is going to say in a press conference in February about Robert Saleh or about anything?
I don't.
And if he wants to keep Saleh, they're just going to run the same thing back. And it's not really against Saleh. I think Saleh would be perfect as the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator right now. I mean, this is an all-time. Yeah, well, he definitely will be.
That's where he was.
He'll be back there for sure. I'm already penciling him in because the Niners defense all of a sudden is not good, and the Jets defense is so good. This is not working. They have to bring in somebody to control Rodgers. I think you're right that it is Rodgers is at fault. You are going to waste his last year if you keep the same coaching staff, same offensive line.
Well, the crazy thing is Rodgers had demands, right? Wanted, who knows what they actually were. There was reporting that he wanted Lazard, he wanted Randall Cobb, he wanted Odell Beckham Jr., which they never end up getting. Why wasn't he asking for offensive linemen? I know Bakhtiari is hurt, so you don't want him, but why wasn't he demanding some bigger free agent acquisitions on the offensive line or something like that? The other thing, too, is... Listen, you've got a situation now where this team is going to be right on the cusp, and they are going to be doing things, and they're going to go back and look at the trade deadline, and they're going to kick themselves because Josh Dobbs could have been on this team. And it's rare that you're standing up for a guy who, is basically a journeyman quarterback at this point. But proved with the Minnesota Vikings that he can come in on a short week and run an offense. All you needed was someone capable. We said it the day that Rodgers got hurt. You said it. I said it. EJ said it. I'm sure Carlos said it. They needed to go out and sign a veteran, and they didn't do it. They dragged their feet. And then they had a shot at the trade deadline. Dragged their feet, didn't do anything. Out there talking about Derrick Henry, get a quarterback. And you could have had Dobbs, and you didn't do it, and you have no one to blame but yourself. So Douglas, and I don't know if Aaron Rodgers didn't want another quarterback in the building. Who knows the reason?
You guys and your Josh Dobbs as a Messiah take is amazing to me. How many career wins does Josh Dobbs have?
Doesn't matter. Look, he's getting thrown into usually bad situations.
Yeah.
But look,
do you think Josh Dobbs
process the
wins
offense.
that game last night?
Yes.
Oh, Josh Dobbs. I mean, with the way Bosa and Mack were coming around the edge, that would have been a bad situation for Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs just beat a terrible team. The Chargers were in a bit of a desperate mode last night, and they just owned that offensive line. I don't think Josh Dobbs is winning that game at all.
It might have been, maybe he doesn't win, but maybe it's a little bit more of a game, and maybe it's a little bit more breathing room with some of the bad teams that you have coming up on your schedule. Because it's not a given that they're going to beat any of those bad teams. It's not a given the Jets beat the Falcons or beat the Houston Texans or beat any of these teams.
No, it's not a given. But honestly, this idea that Josh Dobbs is all of a sudden going to lead you to 11-6 in the playoffs, there's no history to prove that. And listen, Baker Mayfield came in and won his first game and then lost all his other games pretty much. I think he won another game. But just 1 week in does not prove that much about Josh Dobbs. And I like Josh Dobbs. I'm a huge fan.
We know, but we're 2.5 years into Zach Wilson, and he can't lead a touchdown drive.
I'm well aware of what's going on with Zach Wilson. Yeah. I'm just saying this idea that one person's going to come and save the Jets, it reminds me a little bit of the offseason where everyone thought, all this team is missing is a quarterback. I'm not so sure. I think they're missing a lot of things. I think their DNA we're terrible on offense. There seems something really deep. Honestly, they are due a rebuild. Their offensive line. So what happened was Becton keeps getting hurt, right? Elijah Barrett-Tucker. So they've been drafting offensive line. They have first round picks. They spend a ton of money. It's not lack of effort. I don't know. I see this Jets. It's like a Chicago Bears quarterback. It feels like this offense is cursed for eternity.
Oh gosh, 855-212-4CBS. EJ, the resident Jets fan here. Are you mad at the general manager for not bringing in Josh Dobbs or another quarterback?
I'm mad at the general manager. He should have brought in Josh Dobbs. We understood week 1, you should have brought in a quarterback. But okay, you decided not to do that. You want to give Zach Wilson a shot. Wouldn't have been my idea, but fine. You go give Zach Wilson a shot. We now see that this defense is capable of getting to the playoffs. Absolutely. They want there. Yeah. And I kind of gave Joe, Sal a lot of flack for talking about how he's embarrassing quarterbacks. But they have been embarrassing quarterbacks. And then you have Zach Wilson, who can't make the simple play.
No.
He can't make the simple, easy layup, as Troy Aikman kept saying. He can't make the right reads. He keeps taking sacks. And this did not have to happen. But I blame one person for this, and it goes even beyond Joe Douglas. I blame Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is 100% to blame for what we are seeing from this Jets team.
In what way?
Number one, I think the reason why we don't have a quarterback in here is because of Aaron Rodgers. I think that he told them, no, Zach Wilson is my protege.
Oh,
He's my pupil. Like
he might not. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. He might not even have had to tell them. They could have been anticipating, hey, Rodgers isn't going to like this if we bring another rooster in here sniffing around. Exactly. Another Type A personality.
Exactly. And I think that they know that Rodgers is taking Zach Wilson under his wing. That's his little young, Padawan. Yeah. So he's like, you're gonna play my guy, and I'm gonna coach him up, and we're gonna be fine, because he knows that he's no threat to him as the quarterback.
Right.
He's the reason why we have Alan Lazard, who can't catch, who can't block, even though he's supposed to be a great blocker. He keeps holding people, who can't get open. He's the reason why we have Randall Cobb, who can't get on the field. He's the reason why we have a terrible offensive line, because he kept telling us to spend money on guys like Cobb and Lazard, and we didn't get any offensive linemen this offseason. Like, it all starts with 8. And it's crazy because he's a guy that's not playing, and in some ways you feel a little bad for him because he can't go out there and fix it.
Right.
But the issues that we're having with this team right now all fall on 8, because all these issues could have been addressed if he took a different attitude, and he didn't.
Yeah. Listen, he not only wants to go and win, I think he also wants to be like the savior. You're right. He wants to be the, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm going to try to do one of your Star Wars references here. And wants to be like even more than that. It's like, I don't want to just like go there. I want to be like remembered for putting this organization back on a track where they're now winners when before I got there, they were losing.
But you can only do that.
He wants this to be a vindication that his way is the winning way. Right. That everything that Green Bay kept stopping him from doing, all the handcuffs they had, that Noah, if you let me run an organization and do things my way, watch what we'll do.
Right.
But he can only do that if you have a weak owner and not necessarily a weak owner, but if you have a weak organizational structure, which the Jets have had for a long time. So that dysfunction was there with the Jets no matter which direction. If they had not gone there and Rodgers had gone another way, we would see similar problems popping up. So I understand you're blaming Aaron Rodgers, but these problems are going to be there no matter what they did, because it's the front office and the building there in New Jersey.
Because it was permissive.
He took advantage of a weak group.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, desperate. And desperate, because you might think they need a rebuild. I think a lot of people would disagree and say, with a defense that good, you really have something on that side of the ball. So don't rebuild, but try to fix the offense as quickly as possible and see what you can do. And they really allowed Rodgers to come in and just take over the organization. And Woody Johnson was more than welcome to do this. And you even saw in Hard Knocks, I mean, the entire I know that's a television show, but the entire thing was all about Aaron Rodgers. Is all about one guy. I thought that was dangerous in one way, which was they were taking way too much of their confidence from having him. It's like, oh, we got him now. Like, he's ours. He's in the building. It's like, well, what happens? He's also mortal, and he's 39. So if something happened, it felt like the whole house of cards could fall.
But it's also and it
did.
This will be their 8th straight losing season, and Rodgers wasn't there for all those. So isn't there something that's more serious behind the scenes that's wrong than Aaron Rodgers? I mean, what about all the other 4-win seasons?
Right, but the problem I have though is that he was supposed to be the difference, and it wasn't again just him on the field. It's supposed to be his leadership, what he thinks about the guys on the team, how he can give, how he could say, hey, this guy Alan Lazard, he works hard, he's the right kind of guy, he's the kind of guy you got to bring in. Randall Cobb, even though he couldn't play in Green Bay, we see that he's obviously advanced stage of his career. No, bring him in. He could help us.
Oh, and also Hackett. I mean,
and Nathaniel Hackett, I forgot to even mention.
This is how low the bar is for coaches in the NFL, which is a guy takes a hip-hop dance class and can quote the movie Airplane and Goldmember, and all of a sudden he's like this breath of fresh air. Because I'm sure every other coach, we just saw Josh McDaniels get fired. It seemed like everyone wanted to get away from this guy as fast as humanly possible. This is all it takes is for someone like Aaron Rodgers to couch for somebody and cape for somebody. Like Nathaniel Hackett is he's somewhat interesting person off the field.
I totally understand what you guys are saying, but this was a 2-win team 2 years ago, and all of a sudden Alan Lazard is the reason the Jets aren't winning. I just think that you're overestimating the Rodgers' impact on this team because the team has been terrible for a long, long time. You're right. I got into the Aaron Rodgers is going to save everything, but there are no saviors, really. How often does that really happen in the NFL? Look, the Broncos thought that first Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson was going to save them. If your team is kind of rotten underneath, then I think that's a problem. I think there's rot underneath the surface of the Jets.
Can't buy the rotten narrative when you have a defense that can go out there and dominate the way they did on Monday, the way they've done with a lot of these other star quarterbacks like Mahomes, like Hurts, like Josh Allen. They clearly have something defensively. And Rodgers, he plays offense. So he's going to come in. He's saying, okay, the defense is great. I'm going to come in. I'm going to tell you who we need to bring in. I'm going to tell you how we got to move this thing, and we'll get this thing going in the right direction. Okay, he got hurt. He can't control that. But now he's put us in a position where everything else around him is supposed to be built around Aaron Rodgers, and guess what? It doesn't work. Nathaniel Hackett doesn't work as an OC. This offensive line doesn't work as an offensive line. Alan Lazard can't catch. Randall Cobb can't get on the field. And now Zach Wilson, who we know can't play, can't be replaced with Aaron Rodgers feels like that's his buddy, that's his little Padawan.
So what happened the year before that, and 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 the year before that? I mean, so this is Aaron Rodgers is the problem now? The Jets are the problem. We know that wearing a Jets uniform is death for a quarterback.
Well, listen, they hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years. So, yes, definitely. But there was always the idea that I think what was helping Rodgers is not that these organizations were necessarily as woebegone as the Jets, but Brady came into the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they were a sleeping giant, and he won a Super Bowl, and Matthew Stafford went to the Rams, and he was able to win a Super Bowl. I know there's much different situations there in terms of coaching.
The Bucks is similar. Because they had never made the playoffs, and then Brady came in and won. So I will give you that as a little similar. I mean, Aaron Donald won that Super Bowl for the Rams. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess there's similarities. You're right. But now
it was like a trend,
Well, are we suckers for buying into that trend?
Well,
I did. I admit.
Me too. I actually know the real thing that's underlying this. There's more to the story of what happened last night around this radio show.
Oh.
There's more to the story about why people are, feeling a certain type of way this morning. It has everything to do.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, big ones. Errors in judgment. Just regrettable decisions.
Oh, and the person who made those mistakes and has regrets, he doesn't even know how big his regrets are going to be.
He doesn't.
He's about to find out.
So we got that to get to. Also, the latest twist in the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, why punishment for Jim Harbaugh is looking more and more likely. We've got the details for you. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Want to hear from you about what you saw last night. Not even Arnold Schwarzenegger could save that game. Again, 855-212-4CBS.
People are saying that America met Arnold Schwarzenegger's donkey last night.
Yeah.
People didn't watch the Schwarzenegger documentary and know about the donkeys. We were all over that documentary.
You and I did like that documentary quite a bit. And meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger's donkey sounds like something that would have got you canceled or in deep, deep trouble. It's like something that you probably could have said to a woman 25 years ago that you just cannot say today.
I don't know if I had to dump that or not.
Yeah. But by the
leave it
way,
in.
Schwarzenegger always seemed immune. I mean, you kept on coming after him with allegations. He kept saying, "I'll be back." And the guys on the Manning cast last night.
Honestly, Teflon.
He had the right time.
Terminator.
His allegations came at the right year. If they'd come at the wrong year, we would not be seeing him on TV anymore.
No, Arnold skated a little bit on that stuff. 855 a lot. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Arnold Schwarzenegger's donkey. Sure. The latest from you. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. You know what's funny? We came in this morning, and I said to Maggie, I'm like, should we talk about the Jets losing or the fact that the L.A. Chargers got a big win? And I think we both said, haha, like anybody cares about this L.A. Chargers team because they're 4-4, and there is no more 500 team in the NFL. What is there to say about them? They had 191 total yards. They can't run the ball at all. Justin Herbert makes a certain amount of plays. Even last night, they were waiting to charger it up, and the Jets wouldn't let them.
No, this is the one team that the Chargers, through history, the Jets have actually beaten the Chargers in the playoffs. Like, the Chargers can even charger against the Jets, just not this time. I feel like with the Chargers, what I'm watching is a team that is just sitting there waiting to make the coaching change. And we know it's going to come. And we know things are going to change. You have Herbert there as the centerpiece. You got Bosa and Mack, but we all know things are going to change. And it's just like, all right, so let's just be in neutral for the rest of the season before you don't make the playoffs. And then now you have the excuse, not that you needed it, where you fire Brandon Staley and see who you bring in to change this offense.
That being said, their defense has totally transformed in the last month. They were the worst defense in the league the first month, and now they can have a pass rush again because Mack and Bosa are hitting all. So they host the Chargers this week. The Lions.
Yeah.
You look at the Chargers, they're the kind of team. Would that shock you if they beat the Lions? They play the Ravens in L.A. in a couple weeks. Like, they're obviously star-studded and capable of beating. Anytime you have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, you can beat anybody. But then they're going to lose a game they shouldn't lose, and they're going to end up at 9-8.
It's definitely going to happen. They also had, Bosa and Mack can be very effective when you're in 3rd and 15 all night.
But they've been all month, they've been actually playing much better defense. So something got fixed there. Brandon Staley, people forget. Everyone thinks he's an offensive coach, I think.
Yeah.
He was a quarterback in college. He is supposed to be this defensive guru. Nothing about him reads defensive guru to me.
When that's your specialty and that side of the ball is not amazing, it's hard to defend. In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Also twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Good morning, everybody. Laura's in the chat said the only good thing about M&P being on in the morning is they can first react to last night's game.
Thank you, Laura.
Not the only good thing. We love being on in the morning, but that is a nice thing.
That is a very nice thing. I think your defensive coordinator cannot look like Brandon Staley or Robert. I think you need a Rex Ryan type to be your defensive coordinator.
Oh, you got to be
kind of old school, grumpy, maybe a little bit overweight.
A little more out of central casting.
Yeah, Brandon Staley does not look like. Does he inspire your defense to go kill people?
It's too thin.
Yeah, you look at Brandon Staley.
Come on, we're in the era of nerd coaches.
We are. I don't know if you can have a nerd as your defensive coordinator. Saleh gets you fired up. I have no data on this. Maybe Mike Singletary was not a good defensive coordinator. Actually, he had some decent years as defensive coordinator. I want that kind of guy. I want a killer. I want a killer at defensive coordinator, and I don't think Brandon Staley is that kind of guy at all. Matt Eberflus, a defensive. If you're a defensive player, Matt Eberflus gives you a hype talk. Are you into that?
I don't know. I have not thought that do you need your defensive coordinator to be overweight?
Well, I don't know. EJ, you were a Rex Ryan fan, I assume.
Love
that's
Rex.
A defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But he didn't care about the offense at all, which ended up being one fatal flaw. Now, the thing is about EJ, speaking of fatal flaws. Now, EJ, you are a real fan.
Yes.
You can't help the teams you root for. In some ways, I feel like your fandom's kind of wasted on these bad teams, right? Because you'd be such a great fan if it was, you deserve to see a couple more championships.
The Eagles.
If you were an Eagles fan, if you were a Chiefs fan,
Phillies,
Yankees,
for the Phillies,
Sixers.
You could have seen some success, but because you're cursed, like a lot of us around here, myself included, I'll put you and I in the same category. Root for teams that stink and are not going to win, and it sucks, and it's hard to come to grips with that. But whatever. Like, this is part of being an adult. So last night, Perloff.
Graciously, I might add.
I mean, you just kindness of your heart.
Yeah, I was going to make a young man's dreams come true.
Yeah.
We have a good friend of the show, Dr. Rock Positano, who can help me get Knicks tickets right on the court.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm on the court. Basically, when there's a free throw shot, I have to box out someone. I'm that close to the court. And
It's really close.
there was a ticket available for last night's Clippers game. So I immediately text Maggie. I'm like, do you want to come to this? And she's like, it's the Garden. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a long backstory.
Technically,
Still a thing?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Short answer, yes. Maybe not welcome there.
Probably not. I probably shouldn't be sitting 5 rows down from the owner of the
Yeah,
team.
I kind of pretend I don't know her when I'm there.
Yeah.
So I texted EJ, you want to come front row Knicks Clippers? And what did you say?
So number one,
No. What'd you say?
I said, I think I want to watch this Jet game tonight. But what Perloff did not put in the text was, you want to go front row
Yeah.
Knicks game. That was missing in the text. It was,
He was
want to go to
testing
Knicks
you.
game tonight.
He was testing your loyalty. Would you want to sit in the upper deck with him? You know, just cause, just to go bond, watch a game together. 2 guys getting a, pretzel and a couple Diet Cokes. Would you want to sit in the nosebleeds with him? That was a clear no. Would you want to sit courtside? It was different, but it was a test.
Now look, here's what I say. Now I'm not gonna say I'm the sharpest tool in the shed, but I think I'm a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
So I'm playing out all the scenarios in my head when I get this text.
Yeah, game theory.
So number one, I get this text at noon, which is, if anybody knows, like that is like prime nap time for EJ coming back from the show after already done the post show stuff. So I'm getting ready literally to go to sleep. That's my next step when I get the text from Perloff. So he's caught me at the most tired EJ probably of the day.
Wow, you're vulnerable.
So I'm like, the idea of getting to MSG at that time was very difficult already, number one. Number two, though, as I said,
You live in New York City.
I know, but I live in Queens, which if you're not from New York City, it is a trek. So
He's
number
lying.
two,
I know exactly where he
That's-
lives. It couldn't be easier.
It's not that big of a deal.
so number two,
The Garden is on purpose the easiest place to get to in the history of the world. That's why it's called Madison Square Garden.
It took me 15 minutes to get there. From my door to my seat was 15 minutes, but go ahead.
look, I saw Perloff's post from last year, and I saw his post from Madison Square Garden during the playoffs,
Yes.
and I saw they were close.
Yeah.
So I said,
Feet on the court.
these might be the same seats. I don't know for sure, but then you have the ultimate sports fan question. Is it tacky to ask, where are the seats?
Yes.
It is 100% tacky. You
Can't do
cannot
it.
ask that.
Can't do it.
So in my head, it was like, if I'm not willing to go to this game and sit in the section 400, I'm not willing to sit courtside.
Wow.
That was my thought process. Also, this is the cursed thing that comes with being a Jets and a Knicks fan. I sat through a weekend where I watched Julius Randle put up, basically tour dates for field goal percentages.
Yeah.
He was shooting 2 for 14
Yeah, right.
and 3 for 20. And I said, it might not be the best for me to be in the building with Julius Randle playing the way he's playing.
You have
and the
to
Jets,
restrain EJ from just running on the court.
yeah, and the Jets are in a playoff race and they have a Monday Night Football game. I think this is going to be the lead of the show. I should probably watch this game.
I totally get that. Watching your team on Monday Night Football is a thing. I completely understand that.
This is what the kids call sus. Sus.
Yeah.
Because
You're sus, right? That's how you use that, Carlos?
because yes,
Yes,
it's
as the resident kid, that's how they're using it.
It's the Jets. And I know they're in a playoff series, or they're in a playoff hunt. No one on God's green earth thought they were going to win that game last night. And it's just going to lead to more pain. You might as well have gone and watched the Knicks actually won the game last night, and you would have been courtside.
And my thought was, as soon as I sent the text and I literally read it, I'm just like, this is giving the Jets bad mojo. Like, to even
cursed
You
say,
kiboshed them.
Honestly,
to say that I need to watch this game too. In fact, I literally made a different decision for the Miami Hurricanes, my other team. Like, we were trying to go to see the Marvels over the weekend, and I kept holding out saying, well, I didn't know when Miami's playing FSU.
Yeah.
Their game on Saturday was so bad against SC State. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it would be great if I don't watch. So whenever the game is, I'm just going to schedule a movie. Turns out the movie I scheduled is right during kickoff. So I was like, okay, great. I'm going to miss Miami FSU. But you know what? That's fine because I'm watching them, and they can't score a touchdown. So I thought,
Most of your teams
Yeah.
can't score touchdowns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you-
been a
They have that
running
in common.
running theme here.
You doomed the Jets last night. That's a fact. That's a sports fan fact. So just a little scene setter. It wasn't the greatest celebrity night ever. A couple years, last year I was sitting next to Timothy Chalamet and Keegan-Michael Key. I didn't recognize all the actors this time. There were a lot. Obviously, there were a lot of superstars there. But I did have some former Knicks in my lap, basically, that I high-fived during the game.
Oh, Latrell.
No, Latrell sits on the other corner. I didn't see him last night, but he's always around. So
Bernard.
But I don't know if you like these guys.
Okay, so we gotta run them off.
But just let me ask, who are your name 5 favorite Knicks from the last 15 years?
Jamal Crawford.
He's usually there. He was not there last night.
Okay.
Starks.
Starks is one of my all-time favorite Knicks.
He's always there.
He's always there.
Yeah.
It's like the wallpaper there now.
Allen Houston, Spree.
Okay, then maybe you didn't like these guys.
Who's there?
So
Bernard King is always there.
I was consistently blocked by the tall man in front of me was Marcus Camby.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
love Canby.
Yeah,
Canby man.
but the guy who was next to Camby, who everyone kept talking to, Nate Robinson, was my new friend.
gosh.
Wow.
You
EJ,
literally
you blew it.
talked about him.
You blew it.
Yeah.
You love Nate Robinson.
Wait, do you really like Nate Robinson? Because you could have spent 3 hours with him watching the Knicks win a game yesterday.
Oh, that's painful because we literally did our great debate 2 weeks ago.
Well,
and
no, that
Nate
was last
Robinson,
week.
I said, or last week, and I said he was the greatest short athlete ever. And I
Oh, no,
could've-
I'm sorry. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was 2 weeks
Tuesday,
ago, and
sorry.
I could have explained to him why I said he was the greatest athlete ever. I'm sure that we could have had a long lasting friendship. Maybe you could have gotten in the boxing ring and could have sparred with him. Maybe he could have got a little better. Next time
Oh,
he can
you
knock out Jake Paul. Like,
In person, you don't want her. He is thick. He looks so strong, but he seemed like a really nice guy. You could have been in a 5-way conversation with Nate Robinson, Marcus Camby, Spike Lee, who kept coming over to Nate to talk, Steven Sherpa from The Sopranos, and about 2 other guys from Law & Order that I'm like, I know that guy, but I wasn't sure who
You
he
play a
was.
dead guy on Law & Order.
Luis Guzman came over for a little bit of the actor for a little bit of a combo. Yeah, it was, the normal stuff at the Garden, but that's fine because you want to watch the Jets.
Yeah,
so
watch
instead
the
I
Jets.
got I had wings and Zach Wilson fumbling the football, being just wallowed by Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa for 3 hours.
Congrats. You got to watch 2 field goals. And you could have been friends with Nate Robinson for the rest of your life.
And
I'm telling you, you can't ever turn down the tickets.
You could actually hear James Harden panting. By the second play, James Harden was. So the offense would run. He was camping out right next to where we were. He was camping out and holding his shorts. Like 2 plays in, he was so tired. I felt so bad. I've never related to an NBA star more in my life. You could hear him breathing from the second row.
Like
Sorry.
it's real.
Yeah, it was awesome. What a fun time. Sorry,
Does
EJ.
Bogusch even have any headlines? I feel like we covered all the ground there.
I got a couple, but the headline is, who did you go to after EJ? Because I didn't get a text.
Get out of here. I knew you. What did you do last night? You were working
I was
3
working,
college
but
basketball
you
games.
didn't know that.
Well,
First Perloff gave the niche to Bogusch on the road trip. Now he doesn't even want to watch a game with him at the Garden.
I mean, message received.
By the
you
way,
are down the depth chart, man.
you guys were all.
Don't tell me you asked Carlos first or Peter Schwartz.
No, don't worry. I'm in the same boat as you, Bogusch.
Well, by the way, Peter Schwartz wants to come on that road trip, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should rethink that Bogusch invite.
You should retire.
He'll bring Twizzlers.
My daughter is always the first ask for Knicks, but she
Or
thinks the
third.
celebrities. So my daughter couldn't make it. So then I went to Maggie, then EJ.
I'm banned from the building, by
Yeah,
the way, and I got the second
That was a
call.
courtesy.
I got the second
That was a courtesy. Yeah, I brought my friend Josh, who had a great time.
I'm sure he's
of his
awesome,
life.
but-
Probably best friends with Nate Robinson now, thanks to me. I'm the Wally Pip of the situation.
No, honestly, I'm totally intimidated by all the celebrities. And EJ, are you good? Maggie's really good at talking to random celebrities at an event.
I go
am
right
not.
up to 'em.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Could you have done that? Could you have gone up to
I'm
Nate
hit or
and
miss.
introduced
I
yourself?
think with Nate Robinson, I would have been good. If it's people that really like influence my life, it would challenge. That'd be a problem. Like when I met the rapper Logic, like that was hard.
That was scary.
Yeah, but then other celebrities, like I met Billy Joel, that was totally fine. Like, which is crazy, right? I just said that Logic was hard, but Billy Joel was easy.
No, I think it is harder to meet the people who are your heroes,
Right.
and they always
Yeah.
say don't meet your heroes. So I'm glad you had a good experience. Not all of us are that lucky when we meet our heroes. stories for another time. Bogish is here.
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. I've defended Zach Wilson as much as anybody, but I'm out. 6 points, 3 for 17 on third
Why
down.
are you in?
3 giveaways, 8 sacks in a Monday night stinker against the Chargers. Wilson wasn't the only one being terrible, but he was definitely terrible.
I think we all just kept taking turns. Too many self-inflicted wounds. Just not good enough. I don't know what to say. Not good enough.
So their 3-game winning streak comes to a screeching halt with this 27-6 home loss to the Chargers. They get to 4-4 with a surprisingly good defensive effort.
We did the things that good defenses do. I thought we were physical tonight. We did a really good job against the run game. I thought we rushed the passer. We limited the explosions in the deep part of the field, and we were really good in the red zone.
That's Brandon Staley. His defense gets the headlines. His offense had just 136 yards passing from Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler did run for 2 scores.
Wait, I want to actually, Max, you were defending Zach Wilson? What the heck is going on here? What, are you defending asbestos too? Like, that's a great insult. What are you talking about? You were defending Zach
wasn't
Wilson.
that bad, okay, guys?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're definitely not coming on the road trip now. I mean, that is.
At the beginning.
You're out now on Zach Wilson?
Well, I mean, I did watch him barely outduel Tommy DeVito. I probably should have checked out before then. But I mean, last night when I sit down after working 2 college basketball games, I pick up this game and everybody was just everyone's out. I mean, Aikman, Buck, there's no more nice guys. There's no more this or that. It's like, Ryan Clark on TV this morning said there's no reason why professional players should play offense this badly than they did last night. So yeah, we're all off ship now.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the beginning, it didn't make sense to play Zach Wilson instead of getting Colt McCoy out of mothballs. That's where my defense was early on.
No, I'm just glad you realize this now and not somewhere in the middle of Indiana or something, wherever your road trip would have taken you.
You know who I really thought was going to be good? Zach Wilson. I just opened the door as we're moving.
Bogish gets thrown out DJ Jazzy Jeff style, like on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I thought he'd be better than Trevor Siemian. That was the extent of my confidence in Zach Wilson.
You'd be wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. The college basketball season's beginning with upsets. James Madison taking down 4th-ranked Michigan State 79-76 in overtime in East Lansing. That's Sparty's first home loss in November since David Robinson and Navy won there in 1986. Women's number 1, LSU, the reigning champs, they lose their opener at home to number 20, Colorado, 92-78. In non-James Harden NBA games last night, the Celtics lost for the first time, 114-109 in overtime in Minnesota, and the Heat topped the Lakers 108-107. The Chicago Cubs fired David Ross to hire Craig Counsell as their manager, a 5-year deal worth a reported $40 million, the richest ever for a manager in baseball history. Guys, Maggie, back to you. Never mind Perloff.
Andrew Bogish, thank you so much. Coming up, the latest twist in the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, why Jim Harbaugh seats heating up a little bit. We'll get to that in moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. New morning show on CBS Sports Radio. Working on a poll question for you. If someone invites you to a sporting event, can you ask where the seats are located before you say yes or no?
I'm by the way, so glad EJ did not come, because EJ definitely would have stayed till the end of the game, and that is not something that I am a very LA NBA fan. I am out.
In after the game starts and out before.
Out.
Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, that whole celebrity area, nobody's there for the second half. Do you think Sam Worthington's sitting around for the third quarter of a Clippers-Knicks game?
That
No.
also came into my decision making. I said I knew for a fact I was going to stay all 4 quarters, which meant I was going to miss the entire Jets game and probably not be on my A game for this show. I was thinking about the show when I made this decision.
Thinking about the show, I'm sure. And also, I mean, missing the whole Jets game, we're doing you a favor. I mean, that was painful.
That's true.
And I hate myself especially because I'm the idiot who bet the over. And you had garbage time, CJ Uzama, whatever his name is, dropping a touchdown in the end zone.
So I DVR'd the Jets game. Can I ask you guys, do you guys ever DVR NFL games?
Well, not now because I have the NFL Plus app, but yes, normally.
I have, yeah.
But do you end up ever watching them again? Like in real time, would you think when I got home and I saw the score that I was actually going to go back? I got home at halftime. I'm just dead serious. And do you think I was going to go back and watch the first half?
Well, you missed some really fun turnovers.
I saw all the highlights, but I did watch the third quarter. I'm like, thank God I chose the Knicks game. Sorry, because
and EJ chose to watch the Jets instead of sit courtside.
Sorrowing him deep in my
Can I say one more
Buffalo Wild Wing.
One more theory about the Jets defense, and Maggie and I have argued about this before. I do think they are aided by the fact that you only need 9 points to beat the Jets on a given. Any play where the Chargers landed in bounds was a successful offensive play because all they had to do was kill time, and they were playing that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get more into maybe what Aaron Rodgers is walking back into if he indeed is going to come back for this team. 855-212-4CBS. We thought this was interesting. We'll get to Michigan at the top of the hour, but we thought this was interesting from the Chiefs. So the Chiefs just won that big game against the Miami Dolphins in Germany, right? They looked. The defense looks really good. The offense is still a work in progress, but they won that game.
Yeah, that was another one. The offense looked good in the first half, then they just mailed it in the second half.
So the president of the Chiefs, his name is Mark Donovan. That doesn't matter. But he said that the franchise wants to expand their global footprint outside the United States. Peter King had reported on this, Perloff, that in Germany, the Patriots are the team. Like, everyone there is a Pats fan because apparently in Germany, they're showing one game a week. And it was always the Patriots because they were the glamour team for 20 years. And now the Chiefs want that they want to be that team. And listen, they're as close as we have now to a dynasty from the Pats with hosting, 6 straight AFC championship games since 2018. And this is Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey together, and this is amazing. But can they actually keep this together for 20 years? Can they have the same type of run that the Patriots did to make good on becoming like Earth's team? You know? Well,
I think it's a matter of timing, right? Why are the Dallas Cowboys America's team? Because they had these 2 runs, one in the 70s and one in the 90s. Yep. Then a lot of people were 10 years. I think you pick your team at 10, 8, 9, or 10.
Yep.
So there are a bunch of 9-year-olds in Germany right now who are watching Patrick Mahomes. Then 10 years later, are they going to be Chiefs fans? But for some reason, something about the Kansas City Chiefs and their logo and everything around them, I don't see them being an international phenomenon like the Dallas Cowboys or even Tom Brady's Patriots. Maybe I'm being short-sighted. Do you think that they're going to succeed in this?
Well, it depends. I think you're right about the Cowboys. They hit 2 generations, 70s and 90s, fathers and sons. And so it was like spawned in the 70s and then reinforced in the 90s. The question, I think, is can the Chiefs keep winning? Like, does Mahomes have a second act that's going to be beyond Kelsey? Because Kelsey is clearly, he's still amazing, but he's not going to be able to last this long. Just tight ends are not going to be able to last as long as quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, in theory, can coach forever.
Well, wait.
But will they have 20 years?
You're saying Mahomes is not going to be Mahomes once Kelsey retires?
No, I'm saying that they're going to need a second act after Kelsey retires.
Yeah, I mean...
They're going to have to reinvent themselves a little bit.
They have it either the first or second best quarterback in NFL history. So I do think that can happen. You know, it's funny. I was at the Knicks Clippers game last night, in case you didn't hear.
Yeah, sitting courtside.
Someone was telling me when LeBron walks into a building, everything changes. He is the superstar among all superstars. That's what I think is going to carry the day. Can Patrick Mahomes become the face of the league like Tom Brady was at the end? If Patrick Mahomes has 10 more years of success, I think internationally he's going to become such a star that he'll cross over.
Yeah.
Do you think he can?
I think he's already the face of the league.
Right, but in Germany, though,
but
he
maybe
might not be.
in Germany. Listen, I think another thing that probably helped Brady is marrying a supermodel. And she had this world-renowned fame as well. So they were sort of this celebrity power couple that just puts you a little bit more on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes has this giant house in Kansas City with Britney. I'm not sure this all translates.
The Taylor Swift thing is what helps them most out of anything in terms of the global footprint. Because I'm sure Taylor's bigger than all of them.
Definitely. Germany. Yeah, but will that last? I mean,
I don't know. You're the one who believes it's actually real. I think it's all a publicity stunt. So that's a no for me, dog.
Also, too, the market Kansas City. I guess you never know, but Kansas City is in the right smack dab in the middle of America.
Do you think people in Frankfurt can find Boston on the map?
I think,
yeah.
of
think
course.
they know where Dallas,
Yes.
Texas is?
I think
No.
I think in other countries they actually teach geography. Yes.
not in this country, that's for sure. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, if you thought Jim Harbaugh was going to skate on this whole sign stealing thing, think again. Got the latest for you. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Things are heating up for Jim Harbaugh with the sign-stealing scandal. Hey, welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Now, latest twist and turn, Perloff. You have maintained you think that Jim Harbaugh is not going to get punished here, right? That especially not this season. That is something you had maintained. Now, I would forgive you for thinking that, but we got some new information yesterday.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain that. I have a nut. Well, give the new information, then I'll tell you my new direction that this is going in my mind.
Okay, very good. So the latest on the sign-stealing scandal is that the NCAA has now shared their findings with the Big Ten. Okay, on their investigation that's 3 weeks old into Connor Stallions, the low-level staffer and former Marine who was advanced scouting Michigan opponents, which is a no-no, and he was also videotaping. Okay, and not only him, but many associates of him working on behalf of him were also going to games and pre-scouting to steal signs of the opponent.
Mean, it was only 65 people.
65 people.
That's not that many.
Do I even
There are a lot of people who work in college football, Maggie. It's only 65 of them worked with Connor Stallions.
Think about, think about off the top of your head, do you have 65 friends?
I would hope so.
Do you know 65 people in sports media? Maybe. We probably do, but you'd have to really sit down and think about how many colleagues do you have?
That I could text and say, hey, do you want to go see the Iowa game this week? Maybe not. It'd be hard, but listen, everybody wants free tickets except EJ, apparently.
EJ turned down courtside tickets to the Knicks last night.
Hey, you want to go to
watch the Jets?
Yeah, you want to go to Rutgers this week? Well, why not?
But do you want to go to Rutgers? Anyway, Do you know 65 people? 65 people were allegedly employed by Connor Stallions to go and advanced scout Michigan opponents. That's not an insignificant number. Meanwhile, the latest is that the NCAA has shared their findings with the Big Ten, and the Big Ten commissioner, a man by the name of Tony Petitti, has proposed that Jim Harbaugh serve a suspension. Now, a lot of things could be standing in the way here, most notably the court system. They could, sue to basically have a temporary restraining order that blocks the Big Ten from being able to suspend the head coach in season.
Why is it a big deal if they suspend Jim Harbaugh for a couple of games here? I think that Michigan, first of all, my theory is that maybe Harbaugh gets suspended now. But he was suspended early in the season. It doesn't matter. He does.
That was self-imposed. Right.
He does. Oh, right. Sorry. Well, whatever. I mean, he missed 3 games.
Yep.
So they were fine without him. The coaching's done during the week. They can still win football games without Jim Harbaugh. So here's how I think it plays out. First of all, and everything you're hearing from that locker room is like chip on a shoulder. They are fired up. I think it seems like it's galvanizing the team more than hurting the team. Yes, it hurts a little. They might not have the signs, but
that part of it might be
I think
big.
You can't underestimate where this team is. They're undefeated. They go against a Penn State offense that is. I think the Jets assistants go coach Penn State on Saturdays because their offense is so poorly coached. They have no creativity.
They moonlight.
Michigan has a great chance to go to Penn State and win that game. And then Ohio State is this bizarre lost offense this year, too. So Michigan has a great chance. They say, Harbaugh should say, suspend me, and we're going to win anyway, and we're going to kick these butts. And I think the Michigan players are going to be fired up, especially if they suspend Harbaugh. And Michigan is going to come out of this, even if this penalty does happen, being just fine and being right in the Final Four. Harbaugh is going to come back for that, and it's going to be a triumphant return somehow.
All right. I'm not so sure that the schedule's it's a much harder now. I know Penn State's offense is not very good. You still have to go into Penn State. It's a tough place to play. They're not favored by a lot. This is a really small line.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'm not saying they could do this by this weekend, but then if you don't have Jim Harbaugh for Ohio State, I mean, I think that's a very big deal.
I do not think a head coach, how many decisions does a head coach actually make?
I don't know, 150?
Not really. I mean, does Harbaugh, does he call the plays? I don't think, does he?
I mean,
if he's not play calling, then no way. I mean,
I thought he did call plays, but I'm not so sure. I think that the fact that the Big Ten commissioner has proposed a multi-game suspension shows here that Harbaugh's in deep. And there is a detail, which is there is no evidence that connects Jim Harbaugh to this sign-stealing scandal. There is no smoking gun that connects them to the sign-stealing scandal. No documented evidence is the way they put it. But there is common sense that a low-level staffer would not be empowered to deputize 65 people to go steal signs at games. Those people need tickets. Those people might need, probably not airfare, but Connor Stallions needed airfare. He needed hotels. He needed all the logistical stuff to execute this sign-stealing scandal. Yes, there might not be documented evidence that Jim Harbaugh knew anything, but come on. There has to be a common sense factor to this. Of course he would have known.
Okay. Yes, he does. No doubt about that. But you're being sort of little picture here. There's so much more going on. Jim Knowles, the offense coordinator of Ohio State, said 75% of teams steal signs. Yeah. That's 3 out of 4. You don't think any of them broke the rules on how they got those signs?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
We're here now.
No, because if the Big Ten is like, okay, Jim Harbaugh, we're going to suspend you for the rest of the season, then don't they have to suspend everybody else who's caught? And we already know that it's coming out that people had Michigan signs, so other teams were illegally stealing signs as well. I think this is a slippery slope you're going down because Michigan's not dumb. You think Ohio State pays for this report on Michigan. You don't think Michigan's going to go after Ohio State and everybody else? They're all stealing signs.
Listen, it might be, but I don't think that the Big Ten coaches and the athletic directors would be pushing for this suspension behind the scenes, which is what we got, that reporting, that they're pushing for this behind the scenes if their houses are also not in order, if they're dirty. Like, that's generally what would happen. It'd be like a mutual assured destruction, if you will, to borrow from the political sphere, where I don't want to rat out a coach because I don't want them to turn the tables on me. It doesn't look like that's a consideration right now.
Have you heard a lot out of Columbus? From the, I don't know. Nick Saban was asked about this. He kept saying, I don't know enough about it. I'm not sure that this is, I think Michigan could bring down everybody with them. I think there's already signs of that happening. I think this is very complicated. To do it in season is radical because most NCAA violations take about 3 years to suss out. So they really, really have to push it to suspend Michigan. And, they could take them out of the Big Ten title game. That would really be pushing it.
I don't think they'll do that. Now, again, there are legal avenues here where Jim Harbaugh and the school could do a lawsuit where they would be able to prevent the Big Ten from suspending Harbaugh in season. So, as our good friend Andrew Brand always says, there will be lawyers. A lot of people are going to make money off of this. They're all going to be lawyers. And we'll eventually get a resolution in the offseason, just in time for Jim Harbaugh likely to skedaddle to the NFL.
So Michigan's still on DraftKings right now. They're plus 220, the number one favorite to win it all. And I think there's a reason the odds are so sticky here. They're going to be fired up for these games, and they have just great years to be against Ohio State and Penn State. I think this all kind of works out.
Do you think that this is with the Big Ten commissioner proposing the multi-game suspension? So apparently under his latitude, he can use the sportsmanship clause, which I know we all laugh and roll our eyes, like college football and sportsmanship, haha. But there's 2 things he can do, which is a standard penalty, which is a $10,000 fine and suspension up to 2 games, or a major penalty, which can be anything, but you need board approval from Big Ten president. So obviously it takes a little bit longer. I wonder if he's actually intent on doing this, or are they just leaking this out to the media and to the fans to be like, hey, they're actually considering a suspension when they'd most likely rather avoid it.
College football, they're going to eye that Maryland game. They go to Maryland their next game.
Maryland can be a tricky place to play.
Yeah.
Ask Ohio State.
But honestly, if Michigan can't win at Maryland with that team, then they're probably not winning the title anyway. I think they're going to try and get that out of the way. They want Harbaugh on the sideline for Ohio State. they want Harbaugh in the Big Ten title game. This is a business. I mean, even if they are cheating, even if they're caught red-handed, if you're the Big Ten, and is it Tony Petitti who's running it now?
He used
the
to run
former
MLB
broadcast
Network.
guy? Yeah, I mean, you have to think of the bottom line.
And he knows it's a television project.
Yeah. Also, too, I think you're underestimating how guilty the rest of the country is. It's similar to the recruiting violations. You know, you can go after any SEC school you want. They have stuff on the other teams. And that story yesterday is trending big time, that it came out that there was a Big Ten spreadsheet of Michigan's plays out there, too. Right. So, I mean, you don't think Ohio State knew Michigan's plays?
Well, it was just, I think that was a little like fighting fire with fire. And I do think that we're here now because Michigan overstepped. You always say, if you're going to cheat, can't get 100 on the test. That's your dead giveaway. And I think that Michigan overstepped. I mean, we were joking about it, but this guy, Connor Stallions, was deputizing 65 people. Yeah. It's like a fraternity. I mean, that's a crazy amount of people, how he thought he would be able to, how anyone thought they'd be able to get away with this when you have that many people involved. That's a lot of hubris. That's very short-sighted.
But you know how sports scandals are. In the moment, the flame burns as hot as possible. We always think, oh my gosh, this is going on. This is going to transform the sport. This team will never do anything. And then 5 years later, we look back and say, wow, we made way too big a deal out of that sports scandal. 90% of the sports cheating scandals, not the off-the-field stuff, the on-field stuff, feels huge at the time, then looks silly down the road. I think this is going to be one of them, and I don't think anything's going to happen. I think Michigan is going to be in the Final Four. And we're going to talk about this every day, but I don't see any real world impact of what's going on here. And I don't think the Big Ten is going to come down hard. I think they're going to trying to do something. I like what you just said. They're going to leak tough words, and they're going to try and get one game where they can suspend him. But you really think they're going to be tough on Jim Harbaugh in Michigan? Well, there's way too much going on.
I think the real life consequences of this are thus. This is embarrassing for Michigan. I think that this also leads to Jim Harbaugh leaving. And I know that's like not a huge shocker because he's literally interviewed with multiple NFL teams in the last 2 years. But I do think this is what ultimately pushes him out. And I know they had resumed contract talks on an extension. I don't think that extension ever comes. Or if it does, I think it's not worth the paper it's printed on. And I think that he's probably going to be gone to the NFL. And I don't believe that the NFL is not going to be a safe haven for him. No shot.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said before all this happened, he was gone because McCarthy's leaving, the quarterback's leaving this year, and he obviously was sticking around with Blake Corum and McCarthy. I would have thought, I think this might be the only thing that keeps him there. I think he might want,
thumb in the nose.
He's a big thumb in the nose guy. Because this is the year to win it. Their team, I think they're going to put 20 guys into the draft this year. It's huge. Both lines, everybody's gone. So, I mean, he's built a great program. This might keep, Jim Harbaugh, watch him in an interview. He hates authority. He hates it. So I think that
he is the authority.
No, I mean, he hates that's why he can't have a GM. He does not like to be told by anybody what to do. So I think honestly, he could say, all right, suspend me for 6 games next year. I'm going to come back and I'm going to kick your butt because of this. We'll see. I don't know that he's an easy to predict guy. I mean, he was sending Connor Stallions out there with a team of hundreds, taping people.
Also, to your point, I mean, Connor Stallions, the moment you saw that the signs that they had were laminated, come on, that goes all the way to the top. You're laminating signs. Clearly, you had access
Jim Harbaugh
to the office.
Had our Kinko's card?
You had access to the office. No one laminates alone. You need someone else to help you with that.
I think there is also, when we talk about, if all that happens is that Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan, I mean, that alone could be a massive blow.
It's huge.
Like, think about what Michigan was before Harbaugh arrived. Brady Hoke, 5-7, 6-7-6, 8-5. He had 11-12 season. Then Rich Rodriguez, 7-6, 5-7, 3-9. Like, that's what they had before Jim Harbaugh, and I wouldn't be surprised.
And Ohio State dominance over them.
Yeah, and Jim Tressel won every game against Ohio State. Urban Meyer won every game against Michigan. So if that is what Michigan is returning to, those are some lean years coming their way if Jim Harbaugh does exit because of the scandal.
Dude, I think this is going to be one of the real-life consequences here. So you could say, oh, the scandal didn't matter, or everybody's stealing signs. We're talking about Michigan now. And we're talking about their school getting caught up in this and their celebrity coach getting caught up in this.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you guys. You don't think Michigan can keep this wave of success riding? Because this has been pretty good. I think this might be the beginning of a new Michigan. I understand those teams were terrible. it's funny thing is they never got the quarterback. Then they got McCarthy, and that's the only reason they didn't fire Harbaugh was because J.J. McCarthy was sitting there.
Yep.
But I think they can ride off of this with NIL and the transfer portal. Just get another big quarterback. I'm not sure who the coach is, but I think you guys are you're discounting the idea that Harbaugh might come back because the NFL might look at it. The NFL might be scared a little bit.
I don't think so. The NFL loves celebrity coaches just like college does.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh games are always spicy.
But Harbaugh feels kind of old school right now. I think the NFL owners are looking at 38-year-old offensive coordinators and be like, "Oh, that's a spicy thing right now." I don't know. I think Harbaugh is such an odd character that you never know what he's going to do. But are you betting against Michigan this year? Because I'm more on them now. They had Ric Flair there Monday. I mean, they are embracing this big time.
That was the other fun detail yesterday.
I think that they are going to love this role as villains, and they're going to play lights out the next 3 games, or they'll lose to Penn State. But they're gonna be fired up. I think you're gonna see a really, really motivated Michigan team.
Okay, so EJ, Carlos, you're a big wrestling fan?
Of course.
Okay. So the symbolism of having Ric Flair in the building for the uninitiated is what?
A masterful troll move by Jim Harbaugh. Ric Flair literally went by, outside of the Nature Boy, the dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah.
That was his nickname.
Subtle.
So you bring in Ric Flair as the Big Ten NCAA vultures are swirling around your program look, I haven't been the biggest Jim Harbaugh fan, but touche to Jim Harbaugh. That is an
tip
awesome
of the
move.
cap
Absolutely.
to you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the last 10 years, Ric Flair has transcended even wrestling. He's become a cultural icon. He's in rap music videos everywhere. He's the drippiest of the drip, limousine riding, jet flying. So, the 16-time the 16-time wrestling champion in your building, that's going to hype you up. I think Michigan's all in on getting the title this year.
Oh, yeah.
This is another thing I was wondering. So, yes, Ric Flair has become this, he was a cultural icon. Now he's even more. But he goes to he's available for hire, that's just the reality of it. He'll come to any school. It's not because he has some crazy, love of Michigan. It's because he's going to get paid to go there. And that's totally fine and make all the money you can. Do you think, do 20-year-olds know this about Ric Flair?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Ric Flair is one of those wrestlers. Him and Hogan might be the only 2 wrestlers that you could say I can grab somebody from the 80s and any person would know who they are.
So you think young people today?
Yes. I go to wrestling events. I know Carlos, we literally had a wrestling event last month, and you walk the halls of an arena and you'll just hear the woo!
Yeah.
And he wasn't even at that promotion
He wasn't
yet.
even there.
Right.
And it's from people who are 50. It's from kids that are 15.
Right.
He just transcends all things. So, yeah, I think that Michigan locker room probably just exploded, which is what Harbaugh kind of talked about.
I was in Atlanta, and I was at a hotel where Jake Paul had taken, or one of the Pauls had taken over the hotel for a boxing match, and he brought in Ric Flair. So I assume the Jake Paul demographic is what, 18 to 24?
They're 12 to 24.
Yeah, Ric Flair is tied into that group too. The other thing, I actually, when I read the story yesterday, Harbaugh's been best friends with Ric Flair for 30 years now. That's awesome. Can you imagine the friendship of Jim Harbaugh and Ric Flair going through the year? They've been friends since he was the Bears quarterback. They're 2 of the craziest dudes I've ever seen.
That's being the third wheel in that get together. Probably not good for your health.
Oh, that's some serious intensity.
Yeah,
that's some serious intensity.
I think Ric Flair would probably do enough for both. It seems like I watched the documentary. It seems like he has had a lifetime of partying.
Yeah, didn't he almost pass away a few years ago?
He got a really serious health scare. I got a chance to interview him and his daughter Charlotte together. He was a little more muted because Charlotte was there.
Who's with me pooling money to bet on Michigan to win the title right now? Obviously, I got Carlos. You guys in on this?
I'm not. I think Michigan. I think Michigan's going to crumble under this pressure. Actually, I totally disagree with you. I think that what we've seen from Harbaugh as a coach is in those brightest moments. I think his intensity kind of takes his team out of these games. And I think that this thing may help them maybe through the Big Ten schedule. I think once it gets to the college football playoff, it's going to be a different ballgame. Yeah. Now you guys sit a month with all these things swirling around, and it might be more difficult to garner that kind of, frustration and garner that kind of motivation from these allegations. Once the dust is settled, by then we know probably what is going to happen. I think it becomes a different ballgame once it gets to the CFP.
But so you were saying that regardless of the scandal, you would have bet against Michigan in the Final Four. I think this Michigan team is a little different than these other Michigan teams. They're just they're so deep. It's crazy. Like, they have really, really good players in the non-skilled positions.
I think that this is our next show bet, and it sounds like it's EJ and me against Perloff and Carlos. If Carlos, are you in on Michigan?
I'm all in on this.
Okay. So it sounds like it's 2 against 2 here, because I don't think Michigan's winning the title either. At some point, this is going to come back. Not come back, but at some point, I do think it's going to have an impact.
I can't bet against Georgia, but, I mean, you got to give us odds, though, because it's not 50-50 of them winning the title.
We'll work all those details out in the break. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Something tells me now it's going to be like Ric Flair related. Now the bet is going to have a Ric Flair tinge to it.
I think we got to do the Penn State and Ohio State games. So you guys so confident that this thing is a distraction, they'll lose to Penn State?
I don't know about Penn State.
Yeah, I saw Drew Allen play.
Yeah,
I'm not.
They don't throw the ball down the field.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault. The Ohio State game?
Honestly, he's in 3rd and 9 every play. Show me one running play that gets 4 yards.
Missing throws left and right.
Yeah, because he was under pressure. Oh, I love Drew Aller. Give me him any day. It's the coaching and the running game is terrible. Anyway, go ahead.
Coming up, will we see history made in the NFL this season? And we're asking the tough questions about Deion Sanders. We're going to do all that next. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, we need help. We need your help, audience. We need to have a show bet on the future of Michigan football. I say they are all in. Accuse Jim Harbaugh of whatever you want. It's just going to make his team stronger. I think the Michigan Wolverines are very dangerous because of this cheating scandal, not doomed because of the cheating scandal. I think they're actually a better team. Because Michigan before, they were getting the Final Four and they were losing games. Maybe this is a little push they need, believe it or not.
To turn heel, and they had one of the most notorious heels ever, Ric Flair, in the building yesterday. So this is where we need your help and where we're a bit stuck. So EJ and I we're fading Michigan right now. We do not think they're going to win a game in the college football playoff. That by the time this scandal gets to, January, you're not going to have that galvanizing, hey, the world's against us situation.
Why would you have it in January? I mean, people are going to be talking about this Michigan thing until then.
There might be a resolution by then. There might be some kind of, we might, as a society, move past it. We're kind of quick to do stuff like that. So while it's burning red hot right now, it might not be the same. EJ and I don't think they're going to win a game in the college football playoff. You and Carlos Perloff, you do think that they are still extremely dangerous and will win a game in the college football playoff. So now what are the stakes? We're saying the loser has to dress like Ric Flair, but to Carlos's point, that's kind of a win.
That's not a loss. That's a win, baby.
I know. That's kind of fun to dress like Ric Flair for the day.
I got to be honest. That Ric Flair robe, to get one of those, that's going to cost a pretty penny. I'm not sure.
That's what I was thinking about.
I'm not sure we have the advertising to support a Ric Flair robe.
I know. It's like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. We don't have that kind of budget. You're right.
I think Darius Rucker bought one for $50,000 or something, and that he has in his room now. Like Ric Flair and his stuff, memorabilia is very expensive.
Even a knockoff Ric Flair is going to cost us probably quite a bit. So what's
I'm seeing a blonde wig in the future. I'm seeing a blonde wig. Yeah.
So I know. Maybe we shouldn't be throwing this on the air. I'm gonna do it anyway. But I know we are going to have AEW people on the show this week, and Ric Flair just signed with AEW last week. Is it possible we can get maybe Ric Flair to do one of his notorious, knife edge chops to the chest of the two people who are wrong in this?
I wonder. I mean, we do know some people at AEW. It's still a big ask.
That's a big ask, I know.
But
or even if it doesn't have to be Rick, it could be anybody from AEW.
Somebody gives us, what's it called? What's
the knife edge chop? So it's basically a hard slap. It's hard slap to the chest.
Take a couple of those from Wardlow.
Yeah, and it's Ric Flair, one of his signature moves. And most time when people take that knife edge slap, Ric Flair and the crowd goes, woo!
Okay.
And maybe that would be a good punishment for whoever loses in this.
Can you do that to Maggie?
I mean, women in wrestling have been taking knife edge chops. That's fine. Maybe we should have maybe we have a male wrestler and a woman wrestler here to do it?
Just designated choppers.
Man, yeah, that's a great question. In the year of our Lord 2023, can I get the chop from Ric Flair? I'm not sure how that's going to go over with HR.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. It's funny. If Randy Orton was here, he'd have no problem RKO'ing
Randy would have done it already.
I know. I feel like at some point in my life, I might get RKO'd by Randy Orton. I've never met the guy.
It's very possible.
It's just everyone walking on the street. We're all maybe about to get RKO'd.
We're all vulnerable.
So, by the way, and I obviously don't follow wrestling like you guys do now. Way back in the day when I would buy every month the wrestling magazine, he was a figure 4 leg lock guy. Does he still do the figure 4?
I mean, he doesn't really wrestle, though he's going to try to wrestle again. But yes, that is his finishing move. The figure 4 leg
Wait,
lock.
they signed him to wrestle?
They signed him, and then he said that he got clearance from medical to take bumps again, which is insane because as we just talked about, he almost died like 4 years ago.
It's going to be the slowest bump of all time.
Do you guys have brothers? Have you all tried the figure 4 on your brother? I know your brother's
I have figure 4 my brother.
I've tried it, and I don't know. I've studied it in depth. I think it's all made up. I don't even think it's a real
friend
move.
Growing up, one of my elementary school friends, he knew how to lock in the figure 4 leg lock, and I thought he was going to break my leg.
So he got it.
He knew how to do it. Yeah, and it was scary.
Yeah, my brother complained of back pains for like a week.
Wow. I never got the figure 4 leg lock. I'm a little sister, so I got the camel clutch.
Yeah, the camel clutch.
I was put in many camel clutches.
Camel clutch. Yeah, I mean that's an
Iron
easy
Sheik.
submission.
Well, I was night.
I would always try.
I wasn't getting out of that.
I tried the figure 4 on my little brother David, and we just be sitting there with our legs crossed. My mom would walk in and be like, "What are you guys doing?" It's a wrestling move. There'd be no
like,
pain
sure?
on his end whatsoever. I'm like, all right, you know what? What's that Sergeant Slaughter move? That's the one I could execute.
And the biggest,
The Cobra Clutch.
The Cobra Clutch. Yeah.
There you go.
The biggest fights in our home, and I don't know if this is a little outdated, but maybe not. The biggest fights in our home forever was who gets to be Mario and who gets to be Luigi. Because I'm the little, so
That's
I would
still
always
a
have to
fight
be
to this day.
Luigi.
Yeah.
But everyone wanted to be Mario, and that was it. Like that was our Vietnam right there. You know?
Yeah,
Who got to be Mario and Luigi?
We had a similar thing, but it was Sonic and Tails.
Yeah.
That was
same.
another one where it was like who wanted to be Tails, which was mostly nobody.
Yeah. It's weak
But
sauce.
Tails can fly. See, Mario and Luigi at least was like the same person.
That's true.
Sonic and Tails had different powers. So
Nah,
being Tails was an honor.
It's not the same. Mario's got some kind
Tails
of
can
magic.
fly.
No, Mario's got some kind of magic that they're not telling us
He
about.
had to literally carry Sonic. Tails was A1. You guys are missing a boat on Tails.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Save us, Bogish.
Yeah, I'll try. In retrospect, this was the only scoring the Chargers needed against the Jets on Monday Night Football.
37-year-old Thomas Morstead will get the belt-high long snap, and a right-footed punt is sent down the far side, backpedaling as Davis. The catch on a squat at the 12. Breaks a tackle 15 up the middle of the 20. Breaks a tackle 30. Foot race to the 40. Down the near side 50. On the numbers the 40. He's going to go. The 20. The 10. They'll chase him, but they will not catch him. It's a punt return touchdown. 87-yard return.
And in a little creepy fashion, the play is on our TV right now, and it was perfectly synced with Kevin Harlan's call.
That
I
was
thought you
odd.
did that.
No, that's weird. That's a weird.
Total coincidence. The Harlan's call started and the play started on the TV, and they were exactly the same.
Wasn't Thomas Morstead having his moment of fame too? The Jets punter. How many punts did he have last week?
Well, there were 24 punts in last week's game.
And what
Or
was it?
27 punts.
And how many?
No,
did he have
24
last
is
night?
right.
How many did he have last night?
There were 12 punts in the game last night, I believe.
Yeah, so I think he cost himself by punting to the Chargers guy. But
The guy's like he's not on IR.
they kept talking about him last night like he was some sort of folk hero, and that's a bad sign when your punter is a folk hero on your team.
He had seven punts last night of 352 yards.
Well, all the Jets had after the Giants game was basically field goal kicking and punting. So they made Morstead their hero. That was their only option a week ago. That one last night, Darius Davis, 87-yard return, just 1:45 into the game. The Chargers did do some more scoring, but only allowed 6 points. They took the ball away 3 times. They sacked Zach Wilson 8. Joey Bosa had 2 of them. His team has now won 2 in a row.
It feels great. I think the energy is good. The mindset was really good the last couple weeks, especially following a couple tough losses. I think we're heading in the right direction. We just have to keep with it.
It was a 27-6 final. Austin Eckler scored twice on the ground for LA. Not surprisingly, the Vikings are prepping Josh Dobbs to start Sunday against the Saints, and Taylor Heineke gets the nod again for the Falcons against the Cardinals. As you guys were discussing earlier this hour, the Big Ten has informed Michigan that punishment's possible for its alleged illegal sign stealing and off-campus scouting. This a procedural move as part of the conference's sportsmanship policy. The school must file a response by tomorrow. The NCAA has joined Central Michigan's investigation of Connor Stallions possibly being on their sideline for their September 1st opener with Michigan State. And speaking of Sparty, Tom Izzo's fourth-ranked team losing on opening night to James Madison, 79-76 in overtime. It's the Duke's second ever win over a ranked opponent. It's Izzo's first ever loss at home in November. Women's number 1, LSU, stunned at home by number 20, Colorado, 92-78. Angel Reese, 15 points and 12 boards in defeat. From the NBA, we told them it wouldn't work. They didn't listen. The Clippers dropping James Harden's debut, 111-97 at the Garden. Harden, 17 points, 6 assists in 31 minutes.
I feel kind of weird out there, but just not really having a preseason game or an opportunity to participate in the full training camp. None of that. It was just out there just basically winging it.
The Knicks got 20.
Hasn't he been there for like a week? Did they have like 3 practices?
No, he's the Josh Dobbs of the NBA.
Yeah, right. That's
Which one's Kawhi?
Less success.
The Knicks got 27 from Julius Randle, 26 from R.J. Barrett. I wouldn't know that, though, because I wasn't invited to the game. I only read about it after the fact. The Sixer win streak, unfortunately, is 5 after a 146-128 decision over the Wizards. Joel Embiid had 48 points. 29 of them came in the third quarter when he didn't miss a shot. 10 for 10 from the field, 9 of 9 at the line. Giannis had 36 and 12. As the Bucks outscored the Nets 129-125, and the Pacers got Rick Carlisle's 900th career win, 152-111 over the Spurs. That matches Indy's single-game record for scoring. Victor Wembanyama had 13, 3 of 12 shooting. What a month!
Did you see the 1-3 he hit basically from the logo?
I did not see that.
Wembanyama hit, not from the logo, but like from one Wembanyama step, which is probably like 3 human steps up from the logo.
Wow.
Hit a 3.
I saw you got a shot blocked in a big way last night, which is insane. How does that happen? No Rookie of the Year for him. You're not going to have to drive to San Antonio with me. It's starting to fall apart.
Oh, no, this is out.
It's starting to fall apart. It's going to be...
I might drive next to you and try to push you off the road at this point.
Bogu's just going to track your every move.
What a Monday it was for hiring a manager. The Cubs won the Craig Counsell sweepstakes, a reported 5-year, $40 million deal, plus the dirty firing of current manager David Ross. Without Counsell, the Mets are hiring Yankee bench coach Carlos Mendoza, and the Guardians go with Stephen Vogt, who was catching for the A's just 2 seasons ago. And on ice last night, the Panthers wasted an early 3-0 lead, then beat the Blue Jackets 5-4 in overtime. The game winner from Carter Verhaeghe. Maggie, back to you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I do not want to open this can of worms because I'm hearing the energy around the building. I don't care what the Mets are doing, manager. But why are the Chicago Cubs paying a manager when the entire league knows that the general manager is all that matters in baseball? I do not understand this Craig Counsell phenomenon. What is he going to do as a manager that's going to make any difference if your team's not good?
I forgot all the championships that Craig Counsell was leading the Brewers to, and their president David Stearns, who was also like a major commodity that the Mets did end up hiring. But like, I don't know. This Craig Counsell thing was a little surprising.
Carlos, why were you raising it? Like, why are the Cubs happy about this Craig Counsell thing?
Because David Ross was 2 weeks away from taking his team to the playoffs, and he blew it with his bullpen managing. I'm just happy that it's no longer Ross.
Wow.
But why the highest paid manager for Craig Counsell?
I don't. This whole Craig Counsell thing, again, like it. I don't know if it went over my head because I feel like I'm a baseball fan. I just didn't understand that he was the second coming of like Tony La Russa. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I was actually disappointed to find out that the Mets did not hire Ramiro Mendoza, the former Yankees pitcher. Bogus had to explain that to me.
It came down to the two. It was a bake-off between Ramiro Mendoza and Carlos Mendoza.
Okay, I have to ask: are Mets fans okay with this hire?
They are not.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I noticed that on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Did not get met with a resounding
hiring
applause.
from the Aaron Boone coaching tree seems
it
like
makes
a
Aaron Boone
terrible
the best
idea.
manager in New York.
Yeah, I think indifference was the best response.
It's
they
the
got.
nerdy GMs who win stuff.
Yeah,
It's
that's not helping the Mets either.
It's
But
your best chance.
the Cubs situation was a little bizarre. I didn't know that the Cubs fans were that fed up with David Ross.
A lot of hatred for him.
Okay. Well,
Which is great. And it's crazy because he was a beloved player.
Yeah,
but
that happens.
He could not manage.
But nobody managed their bullpen well. They weren't supposed to be good this year, and they were in position to make the playoffs. Maybe because David Ross was their manager.
Lose the playoffs, getting swept by Colorado. Like it was a terrible stretch.
Colorado, you were here yesterday. Colorado's got a Gold Glove winning center fielder. You can lose 3 games to them.
This update yesterday. Come on.
Bennett Doyle.
Brenton Doyle.
Yeah, Brenton Doyle.
Yes.
Tells you everything you need to know about Colorado.
Our favorite player. Bogus, thank you so much. We're looking for some stakes here on our new show bet, EJ and myself versus Perloff and Carlos. This is, will Michigan win a college football playoff game?
The winner gets me if it's you two versus 2 versus 2.
The winner,
hanging in the balance.
The loser, we need like stakes here for the loser. Spencer Speak says the loser has to dress as Vince McMahon with the mustache.
That is.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
That is not like dressing like Ric Flair. That is not fun. And you got to, and Vince has been walking around with a cane. I assume we got to get a cane too.
The whole thing.
That's rough.
The mustache is fun. I think a blonde wig is in
that
play
seems
here.
fun though.
Yeah, no, I know, but I want to do that. I don't want to dress as Vince McMahon.
It's because Perloff already has a
there's
blonde
so many
wig.
outs on this Michigan thing.
He's got a deal on that.
The problem with this
needs
bet is
places to wear it.
Michigan could lose to Penn State. They could lose to Ohio State. They could get knocked out. They could not be in the Big Ten title game. There's too many outs on this one.
No, but you're saying that they're going to win a championship. So we're just saying they're not going to win a playoff game.
I'm saying of the bets, I think this is you could win some money because you got the championship. You're not going to, you get plus odds. You could do something here. I'm nervous. Okay. I'm not wearing the Vince McMahon mustache. That's a fate worse than anything.
Keep them coming with the ideas because clearly we need some. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we've been teasing it and talking about it. We'll pay it off next. Big questions we're asking about Deion Sanders. Uncomfortable ones about him as the head coach of Colorado and the old X's and O's portion of this whole thing. We'll get to that in a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining.
With an Odyssey Sport. Yeah, well, that'll help. Yeah. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute, sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. This is Andrew Perloff with a CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Now, let me do that again. This is Andrew Perloff with a CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Aaron Rodgers' recovery appears to be headed in a miraculous direction. After tearing his Achilles in Week 1, Rodgers looks shockingly mobile on the sidelines of Jets games. But now we have the real dilemma. What kind of team would he be coming back to? The Jets are 4-4. Zach Wilson has struggled, but the problems run deeper. The O-line is not good. Coaching, not great. The idea that Rodgers can come in and save the day is the same fallacy that caused a lot of the problems in the first place. Optimism about a potential Rodgers return is great, but in the Jets' case, it might be nothing more than false hope. I'm Andrew Perloff.
Welcome back. This is Ric Flair related, I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but I didn't want to sound uncool.
Well, I mean, it's Space Odyssey 2001, but yes.
Yes, this is Ric Flair's entrance music.
Cool. Ric Flair was in Michigan yesterday, or earlier this week, I guess. The ultimate heel showing up to galvanize a program that is now turned heel with the sign stealing scandal. Let's get to our Daily Dion.
Daily. Do you believe that? Dion. You believe that?
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. If you're stuck in a timeshare and want out, you got to contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Well, Deion Sanders taking some criticism. He changed offensive play callers, Perloff, before their latest loss. Here is Deion. Was not interested in answering a question about what former offensive coordinator Sean Lewis did wrong to lose the play calling responsibilities.
We're not going to demean Sean Lewis, sir. We're not going to do that. We're not going to take that tone. Sean is a good man. I think he's a good play caller. We just needed change at the time. We just needed to try something else at the time. And that's what we did. And I don't look back on it. I don't second guess myself whatsoever, because it's more to it than what you may know. Okay, so let's just trust the process. Let's just trust the process.
There you go. More Deion saying that detractors are leaping to conclusions about his decisions and they don't know the facts.
I'm not going to disclose all my thoughts, man. I mean, my thoughts are my thoughts. I'm not going to disclose when I make a decision to do something. Just know that I made the decision and I don't stumble or stutter on it, and I'm not looking back. It is what it is, and that's what it's going to be. I make a decision to help this team win. You guys don't know all the intangibles in it. You just looking from the outside of the crib, looking in. I got tinted windows, and you can't even see in the house, but you're making conclusions on what I should and should not do.
All right.
Yeah, Maggie. What are you doing?
Jeez.
You're not in the crib.
Sorry, Deion.
Stop making conclusions.
Well, I mean, it did, if not look like a panic move. I mean, when you change offensive play callers midway through the season, but at the same time, I can understand why he did. Now, there's been some things that just have been unsolvable for the Colorado Buffaloes this year. First and foremost, how to protect Shedeur Sanders. He keeps taking sack after sack. I mean, if this young man actually finishes the season with all of his internal organs intact, it's going to be a minor miracle.
Yeah, but they built an O-line out of nowhere, so that's obviously a problem. Also, Shedeur is not afraid of glory. That guy will hold on to the ball forever. So that's ridiculous. To blame Sean Lewis, to me, was a revelation this year. I thought he did one of the great jobs early in the season. It's insane. First of all, it's insane that this program has a former NFL play caller sitting there to come in and call plays. But no, Lewis is unfairly getting blamed here. I thought he's done a great job all year.
Well, the other part, too, is I think Deion didn't do him a lot of favors there because he didn't just say, oh, we need a new voice. It was like, there's things going on behind the scenes that you're not privy to. It's like, well, what? Now I'm curious. If you had just said, oh, things weren't working, we want to change up the voice, or we need to change up our communication or whatever, you totally understand it. But now they've lost 3 in a row. Yeah. Obviously, they've lost 5 of their last 6. They have Arizona, at Washington State, and then at Utah. This is a team that's 4-5, 2 wins away from being bowl eligible, and I don't think they're going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's on a heater right now. At Washington State's completely crumbled, much like Colorado. And then Utah, Utah is not really Utah right now. Possible, it's going to be hard to get 2 wins. So what happened? Is this going to be a successful year if they don't make a bowl? I think it's still successful. I think we unfortunately raised the bar so high on what Deion was doing. This is somewhat of an experimental year. We've never had a transfer team like this.
Yeah, no, I think he's already, exceeded expectations. They got to 4 wins. They got to the over for what Vegas thought. My question more is about, okay, so you got the first year at this FBS level, and you had all these transfers. You were able to bring in this top-tier talent as assistants, and I have no doubt Deion will continue to be able to do that. But I'm wondering, is Deion actually a great coach? A great motivator. He's obviously, a CEO type running the program, and maybe that's all you need. But this team is still undisciplined. As I said, they still can't block. They still shoot themselves in the foot. They have not really improved much. I mean, granted, the competition also got a lot harder as the season has gone on, but I don't see these big major improvements. But maybe that's just me. I don't see him as like this X's and O's tactician.
That's weird. You're saying that Deion is not an X's and O's tactician, considering he was doing 36 hours of media a week and 5 national commercials the first 3 weeks. You don't think he was staying up late watching tape? How logistically could that be possible when we saw him on TV 24 hours a day? He obviously wasn't in a tape room. That's why he hired amazing coaches all over. If anything, Deion's coaching ability was the ability to attract the highest end coaches possible.
And recruit the great players. And that's college football. But at some point, don't you have to be out strategize somebody at any point? Because he's like, in some ways, the buck stops with you as the head coach. There's boneheaded decisions being made in these Colorado games, and Deion's owned some of it. He's not shying away from that, but some of the stuff you got to override your assistant coaches. Isn't that why you're the head coach?
Well, is college football, though, do you think a college football coach is like that? Maybe that's more of an NFL thing. With the great college coaches of all time, I don't think of them as X's and O's experts. I mean, yeah, you have the Urban Meyer offense, but
Nick Saban defense. I mean,
Nick Saban,
but is it more about Jimmy's and Joe's than X's and O's?
But no. But to me, it's Nick Saban is building a culture. That's what I think. And Urban Meyer did this too. It's a culture of winning that's not really an X's and O's thing. I don't think of Nick Saban's the best X's and O coach because he brought in all those offensive geniuses to help too. You get into that Alabama practice and you're practicing like a pro from day one. To me, that's what Deion does. He brings sort of a winning culture more than X's and O's. No one thought Deion was the X's and O's guy.
No, but at some point, it's end of game decisions and some of that strategy. I don't feel like it's unfair to ask the head coach to be that guy, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, it was Bobby Bowden or Joe Paterno or maybe Bo Schembechler. When you think of them, do you think, oh my God, they're going to out-strategize you, or are they just going to build a winner from? There's so much more in college football coaching. So I think Deion, even without being an X and O's guys, can be a great coach.
Yeah.
And there's so many things he does but he brought in Sean Lewis and now Shermer. Shermer's very high end for an interim college football coach at a 4-win Colorado team. I mean, where did that guy come from? Who else is there? Do they have other former NFL guys all over the assistant staff?
I think Dennis Thurman is there, who was...
Get out of here.
Yeah, I think Dennis Thurman is on the staff, who was obviously Raiders, Jets.
So if Deion is not a great coach, he's going to the Big 12.
I'm sorry, Ravens. I say Raiders.
They're
Ravens.
going to the Big 12 next year. Do you think that could be a limit of where he can take a program?
What do you mean?
Like if he's not a great X's and O's coach, does he have to develop?
There will be a ceiling on.
Does he have to develop? And see, I don't think so. I think he can get enough help there that if he can do the great Deion things, he can build a champion, especially in the Big 12. It'll be a little easier.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, got a little more clarity on the Aaron Rodgers timetable. Might not be long before we see Rodgers suiting up for gangrene. Wow. To that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Do-do-do.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Not sure that Aaron Rodgers should be rushing back to play for this Jets team. Welcome, Maggie Gray and Perloff. New morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. Listen, you can blame everything on Zach Wilson. He was bad last night. The offense is atrocious. I've never seen a team that is this imbalanced, where the defense is this good at holding good quarterbacks, Perloff, to very pedestrian games, and the offense is just so bad and cannot. Once you have a one-score lead on the Jets, it's over unless the defense is actually having takeaways or scoring on special teams. Like, it's just dreadful.
It is awful. And Zach Wilson actually put up okay numbers last night, but that doesn't really show what's happening here. He's taking so many sacks. He's just got to get rid of the ball. Now, here's what I do want. I don't think the Jets are good at all.
Yeah.
If Rodgers returns, there is something weird about this schedule. I mean, he likes glory, right? Aaron Rodgers. He could look like the savior because they are facing nothing but struggling teams throughout the rest of the season for the most part.
They are a struggling team.
They are definitely a struggling team, but They could get a win at Vegas and Aiden O'Connell. I say sit out that Buffalo game, but then if he wants to come back, Miami's dying to lose a game to the Jets. You know, Miami's not played well against good defenses, and the Jets might crunch that team. He could get a lot of glory out of this whole situation. Aaron Rodgers could be the white knight who gets him the playoffs, and that's a great story. That's a great feather in Rodgers' cap.
So let's hit it. Here is what's going on with Aaron Rodgers.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Never know with this guy. Last night at the game, not using a cart to walk through the lengthy tunnel to the stadium, to the locker room, whatever. He's on the sideline throwing, doing the 3-step drops and then throwing the ball. So that obviously is like catnip to everybody. And after the game, we can't play the sound because it's just not clear enough, but it is when you listen to it like on your phone, which is Derwin James coming up to Rodgers after the game and saying, when are you coming back? And he says, in a couple weeks. Now, maybe he's just saying that to an opponent or whatever. Maybe I don't know. But it definitely is making the rounds now that if that is the timeline, so we're looking at, mid-December that Rodgers is back?
I mean, well, you're saying a couple weeks, he meant vaguely. 2 weeks is Friday, November 24th is their game in 2 weeks. He meant a couple weeks. Like,
I guess a couple is two, right? A few is 3.
So I mentioned they go to the Raiders, to the Buffalo Bills. Then on Black Friday, they play Miami, and that's a huge game. It's on Prime, but there'll be lots of eyeballs. Who likes lots of eyeballs, Maggie?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Find the Camera.
And if Tua keeps on doing his Tim Tebow impersonation against that Jets defense, that could be a win. I think Aaron Rodgers is smart. You know, the thing about this Achilles injury is it's not just rehabbing it. Will he have the mental confidence to be secure on his feet there?
Trust it.
To trust it. And when you play with an injury, you risk causing other injuries. So it is a little complicated. My buddy, Dr. Rock Positano, who I talk about all the time, he did Vinny Testaverde's Achilles tear. And he said Vinny never trusted his back foot and it ruined his career. So if Aaron Rodgers comes back, would he be Aaron Rodgers?
Well, behind this offensive line, you're basically roadkill. So I don't care who you are, whether you're Zach Wilson and you're 24 and you're spry, or you're Aaron Rodgers and you're 39.
But Zach Wilson doesn't get rid of the ball. He does not throw the ball within 2 seconds. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I would assume, will throw the ball away.
Yeah, but I think if you're a defensive front, you're roughing him up, taking a couple maybe roughing the passer calls early in the game just to try to get into his head a little bit. I mean, you're going to be able to get home on this Jets offensive line.
Look at it. Look at this person here. You know, you're going to take a couple of legal hits on Aaron Rodgers.
I'm just saying, guys. I'm not Bountygate over here.
It sounds like you are offering $500 to a Bills defender to take a shot at Aaron Rodgers' leg.
Yeah, I'm the new Buddy Ryan. No, I'm not.
You should be. That's awesome. I have more respect for you now than ever.
Because I want to come in and take out Aaron Rodgers.
You just said that with a straight face. I mean, listen, if you're an opposing defense, you're going to take a shot at Aaron Rodgers. This is an NFL legend right now. You're going to take his legs out?
Next year's Bronco defensive coordinator, Maggie Gray.
Yeah, Maggie's the new line of defensive coordinators. Analytical, not big.
That's what the Saints, by the way, ironically did to Brett Favre. Maybe that's in your head. That the Bountygate game, they took out Favre's legs. It was so cheap. So,
guys, you're making me out like I'm some kind of hockey goon or something. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. I'm not saying it's right.
You're the big Fangio of the show.
No, I love it. My favorite coach of all time is Buddy Ryan. He put a bounty on the opposing kicker of the Cowboys. You put a bounty on a kicker, this is how you win football games. Let's bring it back, 1980s style. Those greatest hits videos. That's the kind of football I want to see. Thank you, Maggie. Got inspired here.
Yeah, you're welcome. And sorry, Rodgers. But no, he knows this more than anybody.
He's going to get rid of the ball.
Well, yeah, he could take. He will get rid of the ball. But again, it's crazy for him to think he's not going to get hurt again. And I'm not wishing for that. Believe me, I'm not wishing for that. Aaron Rodgers in the league makes our job much more fun. Like, I'm rooting for my job more than anything. And it makes it a lot more interesting if Aaron Rodgers is a part of the season. I just am very dubious that he's going to be able to stay healthy. That offensive line absolutely stinks. And the offense is not good. And maybe Rodgers makes up for all of that, but maybe not. I just think a lot of people have to wear this here with the Jets, and Rodgers is one of them. I mean,
first of all,
he's running the show. They probably could have had another quarterback who could have come in to maybe right the ship, but either Rodgers didn't want him to, or they were trying to tiptoe around Rodgers that they didn't want to bring someone else into the building. And look at where it's gotten them.
I think it's 2 months too late for that take. We had to say, and we did. I think you had to say that in week 1. 4 plays in, he gets hurt. Immediately, everyone's speculating who's going to come in. I mean, they easily could have gotten a Ryan Tannehill type or somebody, or they could have pulled the trigger and tried to send a first-round pick for Kirk Cousins. There's a million things they could have done, and they did none of them.
Well, they could have gotten Josh Dobbs last week.
Well, that is too little too late. I don't think that would have made a difference.
Or another backup quarterback who would have been better.
How can we say it was too late? I mean, the Viking season looked dead last week when Kirk Cousins went down. They went to Atlanta. They won a game. They're 7th
They
in the
went to
NFC.
Atlanta.
Right. But, they now have hope. You look at their rest of the season, you say, you know what? The Vikings are in a position where they look like they can make the playoffs.
And you're talking about the Jets have, an easy-ish schedule on paper now. I'm not saying it's easy, because I don't think they're going to be favored in a lot of these games, but they're winnable. And last night, quite frankly, might have been winnable. Now, maybe the Chargers were just playing the game they were in, right? They knew they didn't have to do anything fancy. You get up a couple scores, you're going to win that game. But maybe not. Maybe with that defense, if you had just a better offense and somebody able to distribute the ball a little better than Zach Wilson, you might be looking at, having a game at home. Chargers team's not awesome. Maybe you win that game. Maybe you keep your hopes alive a little more in the wild card.
Well, okay, back to Josh Dobbs for a second. Sure. How many games do you think he's going to win there? Do you think that they're going to go to the playoffs all of a sudden? He's won 2 games his entire career, and they beat these NFC South teams. Everyone's becoming heroes playing these terrible NFC South teams. Listen, the Vikings have a lot of easy games, so do the Jets. But this formula is not going to beat a really good team. And even if you do get to 9-8, they might get to 9-8 because they have a who's who of bad quarterbacks around the league coming up. Does it really mean anything?
Well, again, if you're holding the fort for Aaron Rodgers, and if that was always the thought to begin with, then you're not asking potentially Josh Dobbs to win you a playoff game. You're asking Josh Dobbs, can you beat Atlanta? Can you beat Houston at home? Can you beat the Washington Commanders? Can we go to New England and win that game? You know, like New England's going to be in play for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Zach Wilson could easily win those games.
Zach Wilson
can't easily do anything.
Zach Wilson cannot beat the Patriots. It's
Zach
been
Wilson can
15 times in a row. He's never beaten them. He's beaten the Bills and can't beat the Patriots.
He got down to the last drive the last time they played, and the Patriots are far worse now.
Saying Zach Wilson could easily do anything is wild to me. I don't know if he can easily tie his own shoes with the way he played quarterback.
You have to understand, if I told you guys that the day Aaron Rodgers got hurt, that the Jets would be 4-4, everybody in this room would have taken it times 1,000. This has been a miraculous season in some ways. They've won 4 games.
But Perloff, that was also when, and again, I'm still dubious of it, but that was also when Aaron Rodgers talking about coming back from his Achilles sounded like the most fanciful, ridiculous thing of all time. And now we're sitting here and it is mid-November and it sounds like maybe he is really planning to come back.
I also think last year kind of paints a different picture. If you told me that without me having any knowledge of last year, I would say, okay, I understand. But remember, the Jets got off to a fast start last year with Zach Wilson playing this, half-assed football.
Right.
And I saw what happened, that they can survive for, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. But once the weather gets colder, defenses get more tendencies, the whole ship falls apart. So I saw what happened last season, and they couldn't survive that. So I think if you told me Jets were in 4-4, I would have said, great. Who's the quarterback that they brought in? Because they're not going to get to the finish line with Zach Wilson. I saw them last year struggle down the stretch.
They just beat the Eagles 3 weeks ago with Zach Wilson. They're going to win.
He didn't score a touchdown that game.
No, listen, I'm well aware, but they're going to win despite Zach Wilson, or they have 4 wins now. What's the point of bringing a limbo quarterback to win 8 games? Maybe you lose out and you get Marvin Harrison to join this squad next year, and then you have an all Ohio State receiving core. That's not bad.
I don't know. I think you end up a little bit more in the middle, because you are still going to win some games, just not. You're not going to win enough games to get the playoffs. You're not going to lose enough games to get the top 3 pick.
Well, I don't know if you need top 3 to get him, because there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks. But that being said, this could go either way. Would you be totally shocked if they just completely imploded from here on out?
Yeah, I think the defense is a little too good. Let's hear some sound, shall we? Here is Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach, rejecting the notion that Zach Wilson is regressing.
I don't know if you could say step back. There's, like I said, it's all encompassing. Like, obviously he's going to want some things that he wishes he could have done better. From protection to it's just a little bit of everything.
Just searching for answers here. Here's Garrett Wilson on the offensive struggles.
Yeah, it's not. Coach definitely ain't good enough. I don't do the moral victories, none of that. In week 1, week 3, we ain't been good enough on the offensive side of the ball this year, period. And we can keep saying closer. We can go out there and put it on the field on Sunday. And that's what needs to happen. I hate talking about it. We have another opportunity on Sunday. We got to go do it. I'm answering the question, but I hate talking about it. We got to go do it.
Yeah, there you go. A little muffled, but you got the gist.
Yeah, it's funny to see Garrett Wilson all fired up in yesterday's game, because we had him on in the Super Bowl twice now, right?
Yep.
It seems like the nicest kid in the world wanted to fight last night. He is obviously starting to feel this lack of offensive production.
I mean, that's the thing. Also, the locker room fracturing. Not that anyone cares about the Jets locker room, but it's like, what is Rodgers walking back into? And him coming to these games, throwing a couple passes pregame, then getting on a private jet back to California to go rehab and rinse and repeating all of that, I don't think is enough to keep everybody from scrapping at each other and fighting with each other.
I know what I better not hear today. I better not see 8 on McAfee talking about, you know what, Zach Wilson did a lot of things right and it's everybody's fault in this team. Like, I better not see that today. If 8 goes on McAfee and talks about Zach Wilson doing the right things and that the problems go beyond Zach Wilson, I may break my TV. Like, he better not do it.
This is EJ. Forgive EJ. This is a tough spot that he's been in the last couple days. The Miami Hurricanes didn't score a touchdown over the weekend. Now the Jets stink. And he made one crucial, critical, just egregious error in judgment.
Yeah.
When last night Perloff offered him essentially courtside seats to see his beloved New York Knicks, and he turned them down to watch the Jets on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm a little baffled by it. You know the Jets are terrible, right, EJ? You're aware of this fact.
Look, I tried to give my team good mojo. Like, the Jets are in a playoff race. The Knicks, as much as I love them, and I'm an NBA fan first, it's early in the season. Also, Julius Randle had been putting up spring tour dates for field goal percentages.
Yeah.
He'd been shooting 3 for 20, 4 for 24s. I didn't think me being there was going to be good for him or the team.
Okay.
So I said, you know what, let me prioritize the Jets and prioritize the show, knowing that this was going to lead the show.
I mean, just bad decision-making from a capable producer, but flawed logic and flawed thinking is you are the person who is helping us steer the ship. I mean, the other part, too, is you didn't know exactly where the seats were.
That was the big thing. And I think that's a question. Now, we have a poll question. Now, I'll update the poll question because we asked simply, is it tacky to ask when you're invited to a sporting event where the seats are? So
I love that you thought with Andrew Perloff, McLovin himself, that you'd be sitting in the nosebleeds. Do you not know Perloff knows people in high places?
No, I was actually trying to be true to myself. My thing was, look, I know there's a chance, given where I've seen Perloff sit before, that he has really good seats. But I say, you know what? If I wouldn't sit with him in the nosebleeds, I can't say I'm going to sit with him at courtside. I had to be true to that. So I'd say, you know what? Doesn't matter where they are. I'm not going to go. So 62% say no, it is not tacky to ask where the seats are. 37% say yes, it is. So I guess they're saying I should have asked the question.
Well, yeah, but you should have put 2 and 2 together here. It's a Knicks-Clippers game. It's not Steph Curry wasn't in town. LeBron wasn't in town. Do you think I'm going to the top row to watch a Knicks-Clippers fifth game of the season on a Monday night?
Heckle Harden.
Listen, James Harden was going to be in the building.
I did want to see Harden.
So I definitely could have understood you wanted to be close enough to throw a hot dog at James Harden. I could have seen that.
Yeah, and it was actually really fun to watch the Clippers because as a middle-aged basketball player, to see another bunch of middle-aged guys trying to run out there against the Knicks.
Made you feel better?
Yeah, the Clippers they're in trouble, by the way. Can we just talk about it? They have no idea how to share that Ty Lue has the hardest job in basketball to integrate James Harden to a Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi.
Ty Lue didn't want to be there. Remember, he was trying to let him out of his contract to get a different job, and they were like, no, you can't interview for the Laker job.
Yeah, it just got harder. But EJ, and you should see did I tell you guys about my Eagles tickets? Not to brag. These Knicks tickets were nice. The Eagles tickets were deluxe.
Is that right?
Oh, my gosh.
Were you, 20 rows up?
We probably a little higher than that, so we could see everything, but it was in the fancy section for sure.
I mean, I've sat in the nosebleeds at the Lynx, and I know how much of a distance it is to the lower level. So if you were sitting down there,
you did that's terrifying.
I was talking to Carlos about it yesterday. That was probably the most scary experience I've had going to an event.
Fear for your life.
Yeah, and I was not rooting for either team.
No.
I had connections to the team that they were playing against. My brother worked for the Vikings at the time, but I wasn't wearing Vikings gear, but I felt bad. There was a Vikings guy that was sitting in our section, and I knew the night was going to be scary because the guy tries to come across and try to sit in his seat, and they're telling my family, "Don't let the guy sit. Don't let the guy sit. Make him stand in the aisle." I was like, "These people are crazy up here."
Yeah, no, that's a bad place to be. Even I will say that as an Eagles fan. I'm to the point where now I'll go with the fancy. Where's the family section? I'm actually asked, are we in the family section heading up to the game?
You want to be there with all the wives and girlfriends? So again, the poll: when you're invited to a sporting event, is it tacky to ask where the seats are? I like some of the responses here. This one from Tommy says it could be asked in an innocent way, like, "Yeah, I'm in. Where are we sitting?"
I thought about that response, but then I would have to commit to being in once Perloff said we're in 412, and I would have said, then I'd say, actually, no, I'm not feeling great. I don't know.
You got to shampoo your hair. You know?
Yeah, that would have looked a little suspect.
By the way, the Garden, the high-up seats of the Garden are great. That's a great arena. There's not a lot of bad seats.
Sightlines are good.
The high-up at Barclays is a disaster. Don't go there.
Jim Cullen says, not at all. It's not tacky. It helps to properly prepare for the weather, the wind, the sun. This was
baseball, football.
I was like,
games,
did you not know this was indoors?
This was not. You couldn't use it for this one, but
well, no, that's another thing. You know, I'm not going to have a seat that's in the sun.
No, Perloff would melt.
Are you kidding me? I've been to there was one time I was at a college football game that was directly in the sun. There's nothing worse than sitting at a football game in the sun. It's not a pleasant experience.
Well, and also because college football games last 7-8 hours, so you're really in there. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. James is in Modesto, California. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning. I was just calling to let you guys know I survived barely this weekend going to Las Vegas. The wife and I went. We enjoyed it. We had a great time. I told you we were going to knock the snot out of the Giants. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm telling you, brother, you do not want to come to this game. I don't know if you saw the post game, but, that team is celebrating. They're on a high right now. The fans are on a high right now. You don't want to step foot on that field.
He will definitely be there. I will bet you he's definitely going to be a sideline in Vegas. There's 1,000% chance.
Oh, definitely. He's not going to play in the game. But James had called in the day that Josh McDaniels got fired, and you were celebrating because you and your wife are both Raider fans, and you were kind of teetering like, man, I'm out on this season. I just can't watch any more Josh McDaniels. And now you're all the way back in. But James, I think anybody, you and I could have been coaching the Raiders last week. They were winning that game just because McDaniels was gone.
Right. And I'll tell you what, this next one's going to be the same way. I'm looking for tickets again. We want to go again. We're heading back. I want to drive again. We want to go again. The Jets are done. I'm telling you what, it's going to be the same result. We ain't going to have to look back during kickoff. It's all the way. The Raiders, we're coming back. Look out, NFL. I'm telling you, don't lay low on the Raiders. You better watch out. Here come the Raiders. Raiders!
James, I hope you find those tickets, man. I'm so all in. It's not just the players who are happy that Josh McDaniels got fired and they're celebrating and smoking cigars in the locker room. You got James doing victory laps.
You see the joy that James had? All because of Josh McDaniels won, but also they got rid of that bum Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they saw their mistake. He said, you know what? We got to change. Like, imagine the Jets would have seen their mistakes and said, you know what, Zach Wilson, this ain't it. I could be having James's joy today. But instead, here I am missing out on courtside Knicks tickets to watch Zach Wilson get sacked 6 times and miss reads all over the place.
Wait 3 weeks when the Raiders play a non-New York football team. Then we'll see about this joy the Raiders have.
Do you think James is one of the black hole guys? Like,
no.
Can you see him with the spikes on and the face paint?
I assume those guys, he said, I need to get tickets. Don't the Spike guys have tickets already? Because if you're going to put all that work into your costume, you can't say, I got to go and StubHub. No.
I need 2. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, the one thing in the NFL that is just not debatable, we get to that. Also, the latest on our number one show bet that is now pushed to the forefront, to the front burner. Get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Carlos, break this down. Every song now is Ric Flair related. What's this one?
This one's literally called Ric Flair Drip by Offset.
Okay. This is added such a great twist to the Michigan thing, and it might lead to one of the all-time show bets. Ric Flair is now part of the Michigan Wolverines scandal. When we first learned about Connor Stallions,
yeah.
we knew it was big, but we didn't know that Ric Flair was going to be involved. This is the sports cheating scandal that just keeps giving back. At the end of the year, we should send Michigan a gift because this is wonderful stuff.
Well, let's get to our amazing clue.
I got a one-track mind. I'm not going to be speculating. Can let others speculate that.
It's time for Maze and Clue.
Got here like knockoff James Bond. Connor Stallions apparently had 65 different associates that he was sending and deputizing to go to scout future Michigan opponents and steal their signs. But as Perloff mentioned, Ric Flair, the latest person to get swept up in this scandal. Ric Flair was a guest of Michigan. Here's Jim Harbaugh talking about it.
Big game atmosphere in Schembechler Hall. Ton of enthusiasm and excitement, and my energy level was already sky high. But then I got a visit from the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, very close friend, and that just brought the enthusiasm to a new level.
All right, well, when you turn heel, whether you're trying to or not, you got to takes one to know one. So you bring in the Nature Boy, you bring in Ric Flair, an all-time heel in wrestling, and now he's going to have some kind of impact on this program. Perloff, explain.
Well, so pro wrestling is scripted. Michigan might have the script of the other team. It all fits in here.
That's true.
But this is football. You're always looking for motivation. First of all, Michigan players don't care if they were cheating. This is college football. Everybody cheats. It's no big deal. I think they're looking at all this attention being like, why are you picking on us? We are going to come out there with an extra 10%. I know hopefully in college football you're already playing at 100%. I think they come out 110% with these two tough games against Penn State and Ohio State.
All right. I think we have to stop saying that everyone was doing it to this degree. Clearly,
I
they
don't know
were
that's not true. I do not know that that's not true.
65 people were working on behalf of Michigan to steal signs. That feels like a lot. I don't know if I can name 65 people that I am friends with in sports media.
That's the Patriots in their practice squad.
I mean, but let alone people I could call up to be like, hey, by the way, can you go spy on this for me? It's definitely against the rule, but I trust you, Division III random coach who I crossed paths with at a coaching clinic 10 years ago.
But this is Michigan football. I mean, think about it. A high school program in Texas has 27 coaches. You don't think Michigan football has 400 people working in some capacity on something? First of all, forget all those scouts.
No, these are all over the country. These are different people, like from different programs.
They're all coaches. They all know each other. I think the hardest part, who inputs all this into the spreadsheet? Because you guys, anybody
That's the hardest part?
Anyone who works in an office knows that the guy who knows Excel gets a million questions a day. You don't want to learn Excel because everyone's like, how do you move this cell over here? Yeah, are you kidding me? The data input of that is got to be incredibly daunting, especially if you have all these people. They don't all have the same filing system. This is a nightmare. They probably had to hire temps in Ann Arbor to put all these plays in.
TaskRabbit. You're talking about a guy with a 600-page manifesto. Clearly, he's into busy work.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll bet you that Connor Salians can't do all that paperwork because he's got a lot of travel plans to go on. No,
he's got a lot of future Michigan opponents to scout.
I think you're downplaying to a ridiculous amount. The fact that there's a spreadsheet out there with all of Michigan's plays for other teams, everybody is doing this.
Okay, I think that was more of a fight fire with fire type of thing because I think that Michigan, it's clear, whether you think this is a big deal or not, they obviously overstepped. They clearly overstepped.
This is college football. You don't think every great team overstepped on the recruiting trail for years?
And they got caught.
No, they did not. Alabama never got caught, and they obviously were as aggressive as anybody on the
Michigan, in this sense, got caught.
Right.
They are the ones who have to deal with the consequences. So, yes, not everyone gets caught, but Michigan got caught. You want to know why? Because this web got so big. Because that's getting sloppy. You allowed this low-level staffer to be making these decisions on your behalf, and then, Jim Harbaugh will say, I didn't know anything about it. Like, you can't have it both ways here. You can't have moles from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, and then also be like, I had no clue.
But when you step back, look at this, how stupid this whole thing is. The college football teams have their signs out in the public. They just put them in front of everybody, so you can get 90% of them off TV. The other thing is, what kind of sport does not allow in-person scouting? Andrew Bogus' 10-year-old and under football team has in-person scouting. So that rule sounds so arcane and ridiculous that it's hard to take this scandal seriously to me.
I'm taking it seriously because every twist and turn is just hilarious, number one. But two,
that's not serious. Hilarious is not serious.
But Jim Harbaugh might be facing real consequences here, which is the latest is Tony Petitti, who's the commissioner of the Big Ten, has proposed a multi-game suspension, according to the Associated Press and Yahoo. And so maybe you think that Michigan will be fine even if Jim Harbaugh's not on the sidelines. I think it does usher in the exit of Jim Harbaugh. I've maintained that since the beginning of this scandal and even going back to the recruiting scandal and the other scandals that Michigan has had. And I think he's gone, and that is a big deal for Michigan.
Do you think Michigan doesn't want him back or he doesn't want to be there?
I don't think he wants to deal with the NCAA anymore or the Big Ten.
I don't know.
If they bring down the suspension.
I don't know. I mean, I think that an NFL team might. The NFL team is already lukewarm on Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, he's been turned down the last three or four times. I think that if they were lukewarm last year, who knows how this affects it? They might be even more lukewarm now. And Michigan, I think Michigan loves him right now. It's kind of like a certain politician where the more negative things happen to him, the more the fan base loves him. I think he's flying high in Michigan right now. You're seeing a lot of support in Ann Arbor.
Debatable whether that tactic works in Michigan. Funny that's a swing state. But the other part of it that affects this show specifically is a certain show bet that's now gone to the front burner. EJ and I believe this will impact Michigan to a certain degree. They're not going to win a college football playoff game. Perloff and Carlos think they absolutely will. Now we need a show bet that somehow centers around Ric Flair or is inspired by Ric Flair just because he happened to pay them a visit. So we're still looking for suggestions.
This is a tough one because Michigan's got to get to the Final Four. Small detail here. But, I got them as a 4-point favorite over Oregon and January 1st. Let's go. Go Wolverines. What's that fight song? Dun, dun,
Hail
dun,
to the victors.
On the way
Hail
to victory. Am I doing Notre Dame or Michigan? I always get the two confused.
You were doing a remix of the Eagles.
Yeah, as a mashup.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it Hail to the Victors?
I think that's what it's called,
Yeah.
but that's not what it sounds like.
No. We found out yesterday that Perloff cannot sing a lick.
Hail to the... Well, what's a Notre Dame
You're
song?
doing Fly Eagles Fly. Yeah. Did you realize
I
that?
did with the Notre Dame one.
I think you're tone deaf.
Thank God you could breakdance, though.
Yes.
All right, we got to get
Paris
those. We got to get
2024.
those three themes ready, Carlos, because they all sound. I'm not going to kill myself on this one. They all sound pretty similar.
So you're not wrong on that. There's very little variation in all of these college band songs.
Yeah, because
but
they're
you're
all-
just not doing the Michigan one.
Well, because it's all has to be a lot of tuba and a lot of drum.
Right. And they were written like 1910, where maybe creativity was a little
Maggie is right. I always have to fly, Eagles fly.
We know you
But
are.
hail to the victor.
Hail to
the
Michigan, the
Fly,
champions of
Eagles
the
fly.
world.
It's not Fly Eagles.
Hail to the victor. That's what I was doing.
San Diego Superchargers. It's all the same music.
It's the same song, everybody.
The Notre Dame song is 2 inches away from the Michigan song.
Right. That's Hail Victors Hail. This is Hail Hail Victors.
Duh. And anyone who doesn't know that is an idiot. Bogish is here with the headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. Justin Herbert threw for just 136 yards, 0 touchdowns, was sacked 5 times on Monday Night Football, but it did not matter.
In the shotgun formation, 3 wide, looks into a nickel. There's the shotgun snap, a 4-man rush, pocket crumbles, he's hit. Ball George 3, it's loose, and it's a fumble at the 50, and it's recovered by Bosa. It's recovered by the Chargers.
Kevin Harlan on Westwood 1. Joey Bosa with the strip sack, 1 of 3 fumble recoveries for the Chargers. They sacked Zach Wilson 8 times in the 27-6 rout.
Anytime we get something good going, we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot and put us behind the sticks a little bit and, not doing well situationally, I would say. Not well in the red zone, not well on third down, so we got to find a way to be better.
Wilson's offense
What are you doing right?
was 3 of 17 on
Yikes.
third down, 0 touchdowns and 2 red zone trips. He did complete 33 passes, but for 263 yards against the worst pass defense in the NFL. Austin Eckler had 2 rushing scores. Rookie Darius Davis returned a first quarter punt, 87 yards for points for LA, who evens its record at 4-4. From yesterday's injury report, Giants QB Daniel Jones did tear his right ACL in Sunday's loss in Vegas. Vikings running back Cam Akers did suffer the second torn Achilles of his career, and Browns tackle Jedrick Wills goes on IR with an MCL injury. He will return this season. You hate to see it. Dartmouth men's basketball starting its season with a 92-54 loss at number 2 Duke.
Wait, what did they lose? What was the score?
92-54.
It was 62-43 at one point. Then Kyle Filipowski kind of took over. I was thrilled with that game.
Perloff came in. You came in bragging about the game. I
It
didn't
was
know the
amazing.
final score that they lost by 35.
This is Dartmouth men's basketball. They were in Cameron. That was, hey, I'll
Perloff
take
is almost
that.
like giving him a pat on the back just because they figured out the travel logistics to get to North Carolina from New Hampshire.
Isn't that the MO? There are no bad losses. Everything is fine. Everybody
You're right.
else cheats. Everybody else loses by 30. No big deal.
Nothing really matters.
If you would eyeball that team, and I showed you the Duke team and I showed you the Dartmouth team, to score 50 points for Dartmouth was one of the victories of the year.
I was like, it was exciting.
There were 5 guys who looked like me going against this McDonald's All-American,
Right.
that McDonald's All-American, and
Half
this
an NBA
7-footer. Yeah, that entire team is going straight to the league. And Dartmouth, we had a couple backdoor cuts that were crazy impressive.
Far more important was 4th-ranked Michigan State stunned at home by James Madison, 79-76 in overtime. It's Sparty's first home November loss since 1986 when David Robinson and Navy won in East Lansing. And women's number 1, LSU, goes down at home to number 20, Colorado, 92-78. No early season patience from Tigers head coach Kim Mulkey.
You live with poor shooting. You live with just a tough night offensively. What I don't live with is just guts and fight and physical play and just you got that dog in you. And I just didn't think we had that tonight.
Practice should be fun today. LSU is the
Blinded
first
by her sequin coat.
first reigning champ to its opener since UConn in '95.
By the way, are we a James Madison sports program team? I don't really know much. I have to do a lot of research here. But the football team's ranked right now, and the basketball team is winning in Michigan State.
Yeah.
What is going on here? Where is James Madison? I kind of pretend.
Harrisburg, Virginia.
Oh, it's Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dukes.
The Dukes. Yeah. What does that mean?
They're ranked and they're undefeated, but they're ineligible for a bowl since they're transitioning from FCS, which is bothering people this year.
Yeah, but you know what? We liked it during the NCAA tournament when, who was it?
The 16 seed that got in.
FDU got in because
got in.
Merrimack, I think.
Right,
Yes.
because another team wasn't eligible even though they won the conference, and that led to, one of the thrilling moments. So if you liked it during the NCAA tournament, you can't hate it now.
I didn't like it during the NCAA tournament. I was completely unaware of any of this happened.
I was thinking losing to your nephew for
Yes.
Tom Izzo. Like, I can already tell. I got two people in my family. One's a cousin, and maybe my nephew is a little young, but they're already going to be better sports broadcasters than I am. And I'm going to be happy for them, but I'm also, that's going to sting a little bit. They're going to be much better than me.
See,
Is it bad? Does it hurt to lose to your nephew?
But unless they replace you with him,
Likely.
you're not really losing to them.
Very likely.
Right. I mean, you want them to be better than you, that's fine. You just can't lose a job to
Right.
them.
I think that's going to happen.
But
if I could forecast.
They're still going to be sports broadcasters by the time they get to the workplace?
Yeah, we're the
AI.
We're the
I
ones-
was just saying, I think we're the last gasp here, people. I wouldn't worry about it. I tell the nephew, get into some other field.
I think we're the one AI-proof profession.
Yeah, tell our corporate bosses that.
AI's already on the air.
You think that you can manufacture Dig Dak Prescott cost the Cowboys the game? Surely you jest.
I mean, ChatGPT knows who the Vancouver Whitecaps are. So
It's one step ahead of
not going to have those views.
Oh, come on, Bogus. You're still salty about that. Just because I called you out on one erroneous MLS fact.
The Boston Celtics are losers for the first time this season, 114-109 in OT in Minnesota. But it doesn't sound like head coach Joe Mazzulla minds too much.
Our opponents are always going to bring the best out of us, and so I thought we competed at a high level. I thought their defensive toughness outmatched our offensive toughness at times, but I thought both teams played a really good game for Game 5 of the year.
From the Perloff school of breaking down games, Anthony Edwards scored 8 of his 38 in overtime for the T-Wolves.
Even Adam Silver isn't going to pretend that anyone on earth cares about what happens in Game 5 of the NBA season. There's about 9 months of the season left.
Did we care about Friday in the play-in game, whatever it's called, the in-season tournament?
That's his baby.
Actually, I was shocked on Monday morning that EJ didn't come in here and start talking about the in-season tournament. It's still going on, right? Where these are all in-season tournament games. Was that game you're just
No. But I think tonight might be EJ.
Yeah, so it's Fridays and Tuesdays are the in-season tournament games.
Yeah, like when you put out the garbage. At least in my neighborhood.
Maggie, give me a break.
The other part is there's quadrants. I didn't know that.
It's group play.
Yeah,
so right
group
now
play.
we're in group play.
There's like East A and West B. Yeah.
Wait, did you know that they only played on Tuesdays and Fridays? I didn't know.
No, I just learned that today. But I learned the quadrants last night.
Yeah. And I think they did the quadrants based on like ability. So it's one really good team, one good team, one okay team, one crappy team in each 4-team pod.
What?
Yeah.
I heard that there's an MVP. There are odds out on who's going to win the MVP of the in-season tournament. What? Really?
It's EJ right now, I think.
Look, I'm carrying this thing. I'm pushing the envelope. I will say, the courts not the best look for the NBA.
Oh my God!
You
I was
think?
watching the Nets Bulls game on Friday night, which was bright red. I think I got a migraine from watching that game.
I got lucky that the Knicks played the Bucks. Maybe
Right.
and the only time I'll ever say I was lucky the Knicks played the Bucks because they haven't beat them in like 3 years. But I got lucky because the Bucks have one of the few courts that actually kind of look like a normal court.
Yeah.
Every other court in the NBA, there are these super bright, bold colors. I mean,
kind of like Europe, right? Is that the
it's
theme
worse.
here?
It's worse. It almost looks a little bit like if you ever see Overtime Elite.
Yeah.
Like, it almost looks like that court, but like times 10.
It looks like something where if you're channel surfing, which I don't even know if it exists anymore, but if you're channel surfing, it is designed to like make you stop for a second.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoa, what is going on there? It's like, oh yeah, this is some 3-on-3 basketball tournament that's taking place in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Peak pandemic.
It looks almost like a gimmick court in like NBA 2K. Like I'm in some kind of random mode
exactly.
playing on a bizarro court. with players I created.
Yeah, I've been defending this in-season tournament, and I'm still really excited about it. But the courts, not a
My favorite part is the courts. I love every second of it. Give me a red football field, and this court is awesome. I don't know what you guys don't like these crazy courts. These are
absolutely
so
not.
cool.
Absolutely
burns
not.
my retinas.
Like the fact that the Knicks are going to be playing on an orange basketball court is going to at Madison Square Garden. Is ridiculous.
They're going to lose sight of the ball when they dribble.
Right. Like, I mean, I think there were some games where they were like, so the Bulls were wearing black, I believe, in that game, and the Nets were wearing white, and there was a red court, and I didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the Bulls were.
To be honest, that went out since when did the home team stop wearing white? I've always hated that. The home team to me should be wearing white.
Old school.
I know. Call
Love
me
it.
get off your lawn, but that's
No. The worst violation in uniforms is when there's an NFL player wearing either bright yellow gloves or bright yellow cleats, so you think there's a flag on every play.
It's the Chiefs.
The Chiefs guy.
Oh, no,
yeah, that is
like
so
Hartman or
confusing as a
something.
fan.
My thing right now is I'm getting tired of the players with the multicolored mouthpieces. Like your team wears green and you got a purple mouthpiece. Like what?
The one that looks like a pacifier.
Yeah, the
like
pacifiers or these random colors. Like I'm fine with if you want to mess around with the cleats, but like to me, we all see your helmets, we all see your faces. So like the mouthpieces are really throwing me off now.
Bogish, got anything else?
MLS postseason. You want some soccer?
Nope.
Okay, see you guys next hour.
Peace. Thank you, Andrew Bogish. 855-2124-CBS. Coming up, is history going to be made in the NFL this year? We'll explain next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. All right, Defensive Player of the Week was chosen by EJ, correct?
So actually, I'm going to do something, a little bit of an EP move here. I'm going to pass it off to Carlos, who's done a great job the past few days.
Delegating, all right.
Yeah, and Carlos, he did come out with a Defensive Player of the Week and put you guys on your toes, maybe.
I got to guess. I actually noticed this because I actually scout the Defensive Player of the Week. I'm watching all weekend long, college and pro, watching hockey, watching basketball, watching college soccer to see who it's going to be.
Yeah.
I had a thought. I saw an interview with Kyle Van Noy yesterday that he is one of the stories of the season, and he had a huge game on Sunday. I'm going with Ravens pass rusher, linebacker Kyle Van Noy.
Great story. No.
Is it someone on the Ravens?
No.
All right.
Because the problem, all the other good defenses played deep backup quarterbacks, so you can't be Defensive Player of the Week for sacking.
Did they?
I think, is it someone from the Chiefs?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sacking Clayton Tune. How about Joey Bosa last night?
You guys are looking at the wrong position.
I know somebody with
corner?
interceptions.
Getting warmer.
All right, just tell us who it was.
All right, I'll give you a dead away give hint. 2 pick sixes.
Moore from the Colts.
Kenny Moore, second from the Indianapolis Colts.
And thank you for bringing that up because I'm the dope who took the Carolina Panthers plus the 2.5. I hate myself. Can I just tell you my bets this week? I know nobody. Whatever. This is how bad I am. I went 0 for 3. Everybody on the Raiders gets the new coach bump, except for the Devontae Adams over 6.5 receptions. Every single person had the game of their life, except for Devontae Adams.
Because he's the only guy that still doesn't want to be there.
Right. 4 catches. Had him over 6.5. I thought, of course they're going to feed him. No.
I thought that you had Devonta Smith.
No.
You had Devontae Adams?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I am the dummy who picked the Panthers plus the 2.5, not realizing, of course, last week was their Super Bowl when they played the Texans. Kenny Moore's got 2 pick sixes. It's dumb. Bryce Young's bad.
They're going to win a bunch of games.
Sure. Great. I'm not betting on them.
They don't have their draft picks, so they're the only team that's going to be trying in the last month of the season. But go ahead.
And then last night, I'm the idiot who took the Jets over 40. It was 40. The score is 27-6 when CJ Uzomah drops a wide open touchdown. With 25 seconds left on the clock, so they would have had to kick the extra point. At least I could have gotten a push. I'm going nuts. I guess so bad at this.
Rough weekend.
Thank you, EJ. It's that kind of directly to the point insight that we need around here. Yes, it's a rough weekend for me.
It was a big under week. It was a huge under.
Anyway, enough about me.
Yeah, I think I went 1 and 2. By the way, I actually did not. Because we didn't post our picks on our Twitter feed, so I didn't know who I picked. So I was randomly rooting for
Your
the
own
under.
picks?
I was randomly rooting for the under in the Browns game, and I just convinced myself that I made that pick.
You did make that pick.
Yeah, this was so easy. There were so many bad quarterbacks? I told you actually, you could pick any of the injured quarterbacks. The Rams Packers didn't come within 20 points of hitting their total.
Okay, but if you had bet, against the Vikings, thinking you were getting Jaron Hall, you got Josh Dobbs, the greatest quarterback in the universe.
I almost did pick that game because I said, well, I didn't know. Jaron Hall looked great when he was in there, too. I think he could have won that game as well.
855-2124-CBS. Okay, we got a lot going on. We've got last night's game and why Aaron Rodgers would be a fool to come back this season, and we've got more on the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, latest details, and how does Ric Flair factor in?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Why would Aaron Rodgers come back to this? This looks bad, and I don't even think Rodgers can save the offense. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you missed it last night, Chargers beat the Jets. That's not really the most important thing, although maybe the two teams are jockeying for some wild card stuff down the road, Perloff. But this Jets offense is terrible. And to be honest, Aaron Rodgers has to wear a little bit of this. Nathaniel Hackett
guys are ridiculous.
Stinks. Nathaniel Hackett stinks. Having Zach Wilson, if Rodgers in any way played into the Jets not getting a more competent backup quarterback, not just Wilson, but Tim Boyle too. You know, these hand-picked Rodgers guys who he just wanted around him, as opposed to, I don't know, an actual competent backup quarterback who could, I don't know, maybe win some games for you, meaningful games, ones that are, going to take a little bit more than just the defense carrying you the whole way.
So if the Jets had worked, say everything went great this year and they were 13-4, would you guys say, oh, Aaron Rodgers built a great team? So how can you blame him for the personnel mistakes? This is a general manager and a coach and an owner. You're saying they're so weak that they got pushed around by their free agent acquisition quarterback? That's a problem in itself.
Of course they did. They handed the reins over to Rodgers.
He brought in two wide receivers. Who cares? Alan Lazard's not that bad, by the way.
He was bad last night.
He's that bad that night, but Zach Wilson is a problem. He does not throw a catchable pass. If Alan Lazard had a good quarterback, he'd probably look fine.
Here's the question. Why do you think when Rodgers goes down the fourth play of the year, why do you think they never brought in a better backup quarterback?
I don't know. Well, because they were tanking and they wanted Caleb Williams next year. I have no idea why.
No, they have Rodgers for next year. I think the reason why is twofold. Either ego and hubris that they could fix Zach Wilson and he would look better, so that's misguided. That's a check mark against the front office. Or they didn't want to tick off Rodgers by bringing in somebody. We talked about this with the Kirk Cousins thing. Oh, do you bring in Rodgers? Or you bring in Kirk Cousins? You trade something away to bring him in. And what if you start winning with Kirk Cousins? Is the fan base going to be divided? You're going to bring basically another dude into this cocoon that Aaron Rodgers has created in his image.
This is excuse making for a Jets franchise that has been woebegone for too many years. You're telling me that Aaron Rodgers is at fault for last year or the year before that or all the other failures? This is an organization that has organizational dysfunction, and Aaron Rodgers thinks he can save it. Guess what? Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, they'll find a whole new set of problems. There's something wrong with the Jets. If my buddy Joe Douglas had left the Eagles and asked me where should I go, I would have said not the Jets, because there's something that's rotten in the water in Florham Park, New Jersey. There's just something wrong with this team. And it's that you can't blame Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard are not the reason this offense stinks.
No, it was they were doing whatever Rodgers wanted them to do.
What give me specifics.
Nathaniel Hackett. They brought him specifically. This is the second franchise. The Denver Broncos did it, and now the Jets did it, specifically to lure Aaron Rodgers away. Nathaniel Hackett is not good without Aaron Rodgers. And that's been proven over his career in the NFL.
Did you say this in August when they hired Nathaniel Hackett and everybody was high on? Were you saying this is a huge mistake? I can't believe they brought back Nathaniel Hackett.
I thought it only works with Rodgers. So no, it's not a mistake, but now you're figuring that it is because he's not a good offensive play caller without Rodgers there. This is like Adam Gase was not a good offensive play caller when Peyton Manning wasn't there to make up for mistakes. It's like Josh McDaniels with Tom Brady, these guys who get to work with these all-time great quarterbacks, you take them away, and I think they get exposed. And this whole season was set up for Rodgers, but that all changed in a flash early in the season, and the Jets did nothing about it, and I think it was to placate Rodgers.
Yeah, and watch him go ahead and win 8 games because the NFL is bonkers, by the way.
It might be.
They
could have won more.
Last night, the Chargers, I think we took the Chargers a little too lightly by thinking the Jets were going to. A lot of people were saying the Jets were going to win that game. The Chargers
they weren't favored, though.
What was the spread?
I thought it was the Chargers +3? Was the Chargers -3?
I thought it was 2.5.
Okay.
I think it was 2.5.
3.5. 3.5 was the number yesterday.
So, yeah, I mean, that's super tight. I think this Chargers team has shown all of a sudden they can play defense. The first half, they were the worst.
Zach Wilson.
No, they've been really good. The last 3 weeks, they've played great defense. And now that Bosa and Mack have figured it out, I think that was a tough matchup for the Jets. And the Chargers are super desperate because they're actually playing to do something in the playoffs, unlike the Jets who are going to creep and crawl to 8 bizarre wins. So I think the Chargers, we're not giving them enough credit in this formula. That pass rush was ridiculous last night. I mean, Aaron Rodgers would have left in a body bag.
Oh, well, that's true, too. I mean, he's going to come back from this Achilles injury, and there's video of him talking to Derwin James on the field after the game, and James says, when are you coming back? And he goes, in a couple weeks. Now, he might have just been saying that, not knowing there was a camera on him and just talking. But if he is coming back, that offensive line better figure out some stuff and fast, because putting a, compromised near 40-year-old quarterback behind that offensive line is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I think they're going to win these games anyway because Tua looks terrible right now. Atlanta is terrible. Houston is coming to New York, and C.J. Stroud, as good as he was against the Bucs, it's totally different when you're facing the Jets. I think they end up with 8 really weird wins. I don't even think, by the way, I don't believe Rodgers that he's coming back in 2 weeks. I don't think he's going to feel confident enough on that leg to come out here, no matter what the schedule is. But I do think the Jets are going to trip into the way they beat the Eagles 20-6, the way they beat the Bills.
Yeah,
they're going to get
defense.
Even last night, there was a moment. Did you guys have a moment where you thought the Jets might come back and win that game?
Absolutely not.
Oh, but it was 20-6, and the Chargers had a bunch of 3-and-outs, and the Jets were driving. I was saying to myself, oh, the Chargers are doing what the Bills did and what the Eagles did. They are taking this team lightly, and they're basically running into the line every play. I thought there was a moment. I actually put a live bet on that one. I actually thought I was going to win it.
Because there's no way that Zach Wilson can make you pay on the other end. And what happened?
But he did against the Bills and he did against the Jets.
Okay, but
the Eagles.
The Eagles, but and what ended up happening on that drive? Turnover.
Yeah, and from the moment for me was 17-3. They're driving, and I thought, okay, here it is. Like they actually moved the ball. It's probably the best drive of the night.
Oh, coming out of half.
And then Zach Wilson takes that crippling sacks near the road, near the red zone. I said, this is it.
They actually almost were crippling. I actually wondered if he was going to stand up from that second one.
He got crushed.
I mean, he's asked to throw the ball 49 times last night. That's crazy.
It isn't amazing.
You're asking Zach Wilson to throw the ball 50 times. That's how do you think he's not going to make mistakes by asking him to throw that much? I know you're trailing.
Thanks, Nathaniel Hackett, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Like Nathaniel Hackett, this all stinks, man. It's not creative at all.
His final line was 33 for 49 for 263 yards, 0 TDs, and 0 interceptions. How is that possible?
Okay, because this had a little bit of an Eli Manning line at the end. Yeah. He probably did he gain 100 yards on the last 2 drives?
Oh, okay. It's amazing.
When the Chargers took Bosa and Mack out of the game, they picked up, I think he drove like 80 yards on the final drive.
Thing, how did Justin Herbert only throw for 136 yards?
The defense is really good.
Defense was great last night.
Really good.
No, I'm just saying, but 136. I didn't think Justin Herbert looked bad last night.
Oh, I didn't think he looked great. But
he didn't look great, but it didn't look like a bad Justin Herbert game.
To your point, the receiver core is just not. They can show up in flashes. Like Keenan Allen had this unbelievable catch on the sideline that was wild. And you had Quentin Johnston had one big third down catch, but besides that, they are really
their receiving core is decimated. Palmer's on IR. Mike Williams is done for the year, so they got a lot of injuries there.
I also thought there were a lot of plays where Justin Herbert could have thrown the ball out of bounds, but he wanted to keep the clock running, and he actually took the sack. He's like, as long as the clock goes down, this offense, they played the game they were in. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of plays. They were not going for first downs at the end. They just wanted to keep the ball inbounds and keep the clock going.
I know, but to say he was inviting sacks by this Jets defensive front when he's got a bad thumb on the other hand or whatever, bad index finger.
But I mean, the sack is 40 seconds off the clock. Throwing the ball out, he wasn't going to throw the ball out of bounds and stop the clock because that was just mercifully for the audience. They tried to get that game over with in the second half.
Yes.
Why did they flex out of that game? That was not a fun game.
I don't know. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Listen, it's not like they had barn burner games this week that they could have chosen from.
And the Jets have done really well in prime time. You had the first game of the year, which they won, and then on a spectacular, run back. And then you had the Chiefs game, which they competed really well. It was a really exciting game. They've played well on prime time performances, and that's why a lot of betting analysts were picking the Jets. They kept saying, take the money, take the money line, take the points. That couldn't have been a worse suggestion.
The other part is the other thing though is they get primetime games every year, even when they're god awful. Like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts was a primetime game. It's because it's New York. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you got reaction to Monday night, and Rodgers saying he's going to be back in a couple weeks. So we'll see what's going on with that. The other crazy thing that's happening in sports right now that you have to know about is Michigan has officially turned heel. This is what's happened.
Yes,
Ric
let's
Flair is in the building. According to Jim Harbaugh, the Nature Boy showed up to give an inspirational speech, I guess, to the Michigan Wolverine football team because it is getting hot for Jim Harbaugh. The Big Ten commissioner, according to the Associated Press, has proposed a multi-game suspension for Harbaugh. This thing is not going away. Whether you think it's a big deal, little deal, no deal, it's not going anywhere.
No, it's a huge scandal. I've been trying to downplay in the sense that I don't really think it's that serious. Advanced scouting, what are we talking about here? It's not 1936. Of course you should send a scout in person. It's one of those ones where I'm sure everybody breaks that rule. I'm positive.
To this degree, obviously
Maybe.
Not to this degree, because I think there's another part too, and the reason why the coaches are all ticked off is it's not just it feels egregious. Now, some of the details that are coming out, Connor Stallions, whose name will live in infamy now, turns out he was deputizing 65 associates to go and scout future opponents of Michigan.
But let me ask you a question.
That's a web.
It's now come out that most teams are looking at the signals, which is actually okay, but you could do it off the TV.
Off TV, right.
So maybe legally, illegally. You're telling me Alabama is not sending people to Auburn? It's 2 hours away.
They haven't gotten caught for it, Perloff.
Well, why would they get caught? Because obviously until this year, nobody even cared. It's so stupid that you can watch it on TV, but you can't have a guy in the building.
Well, you know who cares? The other Big Ten coaches. And I think the problem is because you always say, if you're going to cheat, don't get 100. And I think that's what Michigan is doing. Because if this wasn't helping them, then why would they keep doing it?
Because I'll bet you everybody's doing. There are so many teams that are doing some form of this. I guarantee it.
Do you have 65 people in your life that you would trust to say, "Hey, can you go break this rule for me?" And
yeah, I don't think people took the rule seriously. No, maybe not. But look at a college football sideline. There's a cast of 40,000 people there. How many people were wearing a Michigan hat who look official in some sort or the other? I think this whole thing, we're going to look back on it and say it's closer to Deflategate than the Astros hitting the garbage cans. I don't think, especially if Michigan wins, they can put all this to the side.
They have a big game against Penn State coming up this weekend. Further reporting is saying we could get a resolution by Wednesday. But here's the situation, and we're all savvy enough sports fans. We've been through enough scandals to realize what's going to happen here. If the Big Ten decides to suspend Jim Harbaugh, immediately that's going to trigger a lawsuit. They're going to fight it. They're going to say that Jim Harbaugh had no knowledge and that you can't directly link him, except for maybe by, common sense, but you can't directly link him to this scandal. And then it's just going to go to lawyers, and then this whole thing's going to get figured out in the offseason. And I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be gone into the NFL. So that's the real life consequences of this.
I'd like to do a show bet on Harbaugh. I think this is I would have guaranteed he was gone 4 weeks ago. I think it's the only thing that's keeping him there. I think he's going to want to show you.
Bleep you.
He's going to want to show you, I don't need your signs. I'm going to come out there. Now, I'd have to look. They are losing so much talent this offseason that he's obviously a very utilitarian coach. He knows what's best for him. But I think he is kind of loving this. He's a pretty, not angry dude, but he's pretty hostile towards his opponents most times. This is just fueling the fire there. And I think the team is going to feel a lot of that. Saying all this, I root for Penn State, but I hope that Michigan shows up here because if they lose by 3 touchdowns, and you guys are 100% right, but I think this chip on the shoulder thing is real. And I think Michigan's a very, very good football team.
Listen, if they lose to Penn State by 3 touchdowns, we've been talking about Ric Flair and how me and EJ are going to be walking into the studio like Vince McMahon,
By the way, watch the officials.
Elbows up.
Because the officials obviously helped Ohio State against Penn State. I don't think that's even a hot take there. They got so many calls in that game. If the officials want to help Penn State on Saturday, that'll be very interesting to watch because their Big Ten's probably calling the head of the officiating crew, say like, hey, listen, we don't like that guy.
Wow.
Very simple directive there.
And you think that I'm Machiavellian.
Well, I mean, did you see Alabama LSU? The SEC said, Brian Kelly, you talk a big game. This is Nick Saban's conference. We are not letting you win this game. I am sorry, but that's how college football works, Maggie.
Perloff coming to a message board near you, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So now we also have a show bet that is on Michigan. EJ and I do not believe they will win a game in the college football playoff. Perloff and Carlos think that they will. Loser has to be put in a figure 4 leg lock. No, we're not sure yet.
So, we're figuring that out. I said the knife edge chop.
Yeah.
That I think would be.
Am I going to have to wear some kind of body armor to
maybe
to survive that?
Yeah. Why about
different for me.
Let me ask you a question. What does Michigan have to do can they lose a game and get to the Final Four? Is the committee holding the scandal against them? I think normally a one-loss Michigan team would have a great argument here. But
too many undefeated teams right now.
Well, yeah, but
they won't all be undefeated.
Yeah, they can't all be undefeated. Maybe they
Georgia could be undefeated.
So Georgia will get in.
Florida State.
Florida State has to run the table.
Washington could be undefeated.
Right.
Although they're teetering a little bit right now. But Washington could be undefeated. And who else am I thinking about?
Ohio State.
And Ohio State could be undefeated.
Yep.
But Ohio State can't. Well, I'm saying Michigan, one of those teams has to lose. So it'll be really
Texas?
Texas has one loss. So.
Right, they have one loss. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tricky. If I'm in that committee, I'd love to see their conversations. Do you count the scandal against them when you're looking at this team?
They said they're not going to.
Did they? Okay.
That was the first week. Last week they said it's an NCAA issue. It's not a college football player.
And I guess the Michigan AD is on the committee and he's sitting out of it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in that room either.
No.
Like, you guys are all talking about me behind my back. No,
Yeah.
thanks. You ever walk into a room and it feels like everyone was just talking about you?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Again, it's college football. You think that every AD in that room hasn't watched his program break 400 rules?
You're right, but generally that's the mutually assured destruction where coaches don't call each other out because, hey, I don't want someone sniffing around my dirty laundry. And it feels like coaches are more than willing, whether it's mostly behind the scenes.
But there are some coaches who are strangely agnostic on this
all
scandal.
the SEC coaches. Shocker. They already went through their own sign stealing scandal.
And also, too, I mean, Michigan is a powerful, very big alumni base. They could get after, just like Ohio State got after Michigan with this scandal. I'm not sure Ryan Day is coming out too strong on this one.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we do have a couple red flags that we noticed around college football. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. So, Carlos, you're on the board today. Usually I have a music theme. I haven't been able to figure it out at all today. What's going on? Is this 90s rock? Because you did Blur.
Well, yeah, initially it was like just, 90s rock, whatever I could find. And then midway I switched up to Ric Flair. And then I realized I don't have any more Ric Flair songs.
Oh, is this song associated with Ric Flair?
What's in your folder.
This is just hand-picked music, hand-selected for
he ran out of Ric Flair songs.
Nice. We still have about an hour to go.
Okay, I have
Dynamite.
I have a trivia question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
In your mind, I love this. Is one of my favorite things when a player is a lot younger than we think he is. Who is older, Kirk Cousins or Cam Newton?
Oh, probably Cam.
Nope. Kirk Cousins is a whole year older than Cam Newton.
Well, yeah, because Cam won. He won the Heisman after Robert Griffin, right?
Yes.
So,
No. Griffin was after Cam. I think. All right. Was it Griffin 2012 and Cam was 11? I could have it completely flipped around.
Wait, who's older?
Kirk Cousins is a year older.
Right. I said Cam Newton's younger.
Oh, I thought you said Cam.
I thought he's younger than Kirk Cousins. Yes.
Oh, okay. Carlos was surprised at least. I thought
I'm surprised.
Cam Newton doesn't feel like he's 34. 34 should be kind of the prime of an NFL quarterback career, and he's been now washed for 3 years.
Well, because Cam played a very different way than Kirk Cousins plays. You know, Kirk's in the pocket. He's not inviting a lot of contact. I mean, Cam's at the goal line doing Superman stuff.
Yeah, it is crazy that he has not had a chance in his 30s, to me.
Well, he doesn't look that great, but he's still making news.
Physically, he looks great.
Cam, well, not on the field.
And the way he dresses looks great.
Well, that's always his flair. Cam had his Ric Flair. Cam had told a funny story yesterday. I believe this was on his own Instagram account about he had worn the number 2 his entire life, high school, junior college, and then he got to the Carolina Panthers and Jimmy Clausen was already number 2. So Cam said, he asked Jimmy, can I have the number?
I didn't even want number 1. Man, Jimmy Clausen, we cool now, Jimbo. He's like, you want it, you got to pay for it. I was like, cool, how much? He said $1 million. I said, boy, kiss my man. I said $1 million, bro. I said, bro, people don't make $1 million in a lifetime, let alone I'm going to give you $1 million just for a number, bro.
So, I mean, not reasonable. I think I'd probably tell someone to kiss my butt too. Cam went on, said after that he made a vow.
The mother comes back and said, okay, bro, I talked to my people. We'll do it for $750,000. I said, oh, you for real? I hung that phone up. True story. Hung that phone up. I called the equipment man. I said, I'm rocking with number 1. I made an oath to myself. I said that will be the last time Jimmy Clausen will ever be heard of in Carolina.
Imagine that. The guy says $1 million, Jimmy Clausen, clearly trying to be a businessman. Cam goes, kiss my ass. No. What do you really want? And he goes, I talked to my people. $750,000.
I'm old enough to remember like Jimmy Clausen's career, not just at Carolina, but also at Notre Dame. Like, and I go back to high school. Like, he was supposed to be the next big quarterback prospect.
Mel Kiper will live in infamy on Jimmy Clausen.
The original Mel Kiper favorite.
Yeah.
And the fact that he would say that, the fact that you're a young quarterback who should have a long career ahead of you, the fact that you're even trying to get money off of a rookie who was the number 1 pick in the draft when you yourself was a bust.
No, Jimmy Clausen knew his future was not as bright as Mel Kiper thought. He was smart.
Next contract, that number.
He was smart to go after this money. He knew, this is not working well, and this guy's coming into the team. Forget it. I think he is a smart business decision.
Maybe he thought Cam is like so superstitious that he would just do anything to have the number, but clearly didn't realize what he was dealing with. And Cam's like, I'll just be number 1.
I think it's a sign of faith in Cam Newton. The Jimmy's like, his guy's going to make so much money. What's $1 million to Cam Newton? He's already getting paid that at Auburn.
Despite all the wardrobe and the crazy stuff, it makes me think that Cam may be really good with his money. Maybe he's very financially savvy because clearly he wasn't going to get duped into giving Jimmy Clausen $1 million.
He knew at 23 years old the value of $1.
Yeah.
Like, he realized that was terrible money. There was no reason to spend millions of dollars worth on a number.
I don't know. That guy spent a lot on hats and scarves through the years. Those scarves, that racks up. If that's silk.
Right, but he has a hat. He's a hat company. He sells hats.
I was kidding, EJ. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The Ascot collection, the budget for that's sky high, but not for a number.
Players never pay for their own clothes at press conferences, right? That's always free. Even
so.
Cam Newton.
Well, I mean, it's his own business, so he's just promoting
but
his
even
own thing.
has he always had that hat company? I actually didn't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, I only saw this was the year after he left the Patriots, where he was on I Am Athlete, and he was pushing that. I have a hat line now, and so I'm sure he's gotten several sales from wearing those hats.
I believe it's called a haberdashery.
Maggie, can you describe what he was wearing in this clip? I actually saw it real
Come
quick.
on. You're asking me to do the impossible.
It was something wild though, right?
Well, it's hard to tell because he's sitting in the front seat of a car. But here's a question. What is a suitable thing? What's a suitable exchange for a number? Like you've heard case of beer. I've heard that before. A lot of baseball players. I mean,
thought it was many thousands of dollars in the NFL.
Yeah, I thought it was money too. I just didn't think it would be like half a mil or anything like that.
$1 million. Jimmy Clausen, you have a set. $1 million.
Reach for the stars, man.
All right, I thought it over. I talked to my people. $750,000. Like he's giving him a deal.
First of all, Jimmy Clausen had people.
He definitely had people.
Yeah,
Once Mel Kiper calls you the next Joe Montana, you get people.
To me, it's just loser energy. Again, it won't be different if Jimmy Clausen was a 10-year backup who, realized, okay, my career is coming to an end and I can make some money off this kid. Like, he should have been able to go to a second team and have a career. The fact that he's reaching for money from a rookie is from a guy who's in his second year in the league is so pathetic to me.
Can we check it though? Did Jimmy Clausen did they trade him or did they not re-sign him from Carolina? I'm assuming that he was gone by Cam's second year.
Oh, I would think so. He definitely got re-signed.
Did Cam make good on the threat? Andrew Bogish is here. He's got headlines for us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. The Jets had won 3 in a row despite that anemic offense, but it was even more useless on Monday Night Football, so Robert Saleh's team never had a chance against the Chargers.
Today was not good, obviously. We just never gave ourselves a chance. A lot of self-inflicted wounds.
Have we discussed yet his quickly darkening beard?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, are we talking about Robert Saleh face, which is kind of like resting you-know-what face?
Yeah.
The camera always finds him when he's just looking the most lost. It's never when he's intensely talking to his defensive coordinator or trying to pump up another player. It's always when he's just staring into space. He hasn't had hey, you're at the game.
Right.
You try to be Jets coach, Maggie. It's kind of hard to keep a straight face. Aaron Rodgers is starting to get that, too. Did you guys notice a lot of Aaron Rodgers shaking his head shots last night?
I mean, wouldn't you? He's probably you expect me to go behind this offensive line? I'm going to leave with no foot.
Zach Wilson sacked 8 times last night. There were 3 giveaways, just 3 third-down conversions, only 6 points. Khalil Mack had 2 of those 8 takedowns.
A lot of things we could have did better, but all in all, man, we were able to pack the defense and help the offense out. Man, everybody capitalized and was able to eat in the inside, on the outside. And the guys in the backhand, they did their job, man, and held it down.
The Chargers began the night with the worst pass defense in the NFL, but Wilson's shortcomings won the night. The LA win, 27-6, included a punt return touchdown, 2 rushing scores from Austin Eckler, and Keenan Allen going over 10,000 career receiving yards.
It's amazing, man. It's the hard work, paying off, consistency. Resiliency, I done been through a lot, injuries and stuff like that, so it's nice.
Did you guys see the story that Tom Telesco, the general manager of the Chargers, went in and apologized to the defense for signing J.C. Jackson?
Yes.
He just mea culpa. Sorry, my bad.
I respect that.
We gave him $80 million.
I respect that.
Also, in the chat, Jeffrey Howell, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We've been talking about jersey numbers with Cam Newton. Jimmy Clausen once asked Cam for $1 million for his number. Said players should be allowed to use symbols, $sign, exclamation point. He said top of the stuff on the top row of the keyboard.
You have to hit shift to get to them.
Have you ever seen Cam's tweets? I mean, they're basically hieroglyphics.
Yeah, it's a wingdings.
A symbol would have been perfect for him.
I know.
Michigan's apparently prepping its legal defense, with the Big Ten informing the school that punishment's possible for whatever Conyers Stallions did. The conference could impose a multi-game suspension on Jim Harbaugh under its sportsmanship policy. Double-barrel upsets to start the college basketball season. The 4th-ranked Michigan State men falling at home to James Madison, 79-76 in OT. The Spartans were 1 for 20 from 3 and missed 14 free throws. They had not lost at home in November since 1986. And women's number 1, LSU, losing at home to number 20, Colorado, 92-78. They are the 4th reigning champ to lose their opener.
Wait, Bogish, you are the voice of Fordham men's and women's college basketball?
It depends on the day, sure.
Okay. Do you have a signature call? Forgive me for not knowing this.
No. I'm nowhere near creative enough for that.
You're not Bang?
No.
I thought take a sip of that was your thing.
No, it's not.
Take a sip of that. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's a long-standing thing that, no, I don't have the nerve to break out one of those things. I would forget. Even if I came up with one, I would forget to use it in the moment.
You forget your own signature call?
Are you a homer at least? Do you yell when Fordham scores?
Not a homer. It's not like we versus them, but I mean, it's a Fordham broadcast. Yeah. It's not straight 50-50 down the middle.
I mean, can we offer you up some stuff? Listen, Mike Breen stole Bang from someone else, he admitted. So you can borrow liberally.
Yeah, but so you got to find me the guy who said Bang before Mike Breen that no one knows about now. That's the thing. You need to go.
An obscure call out there.
It's going to be like a ring-a-ding-ding.
I would say Boom Goes the Dynamite, but that guy went kind of viral.
Boom Goes the Dynamite.
Man, that even got to your generation, Boom Goes the Dynamite?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that went viral when I was
You should steal the funnel cakes thing. All right, let's all go get funnel cakes now at the end of the game.
That's an NHL call. I can't do that.
Yeah, that guy's also currently doing the call.
Right.
He's right. You got to find some old-timey dude.
How about you just go really, really super loud? I heard Paul Allen do the Vikings game on the radio because I was on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. I'm like, dude, it's week 9. You're acting like this is the Super Bowl. Are you like that?
Well, I wish I had Paul Allen's voice. That's the other problem in this whole dynamic. I can't do that either.
Oh, you got great chops, Bogish.
I don't have Paul Allen's voice.
You got great pipes.
Do the next thing you're going to read in just the most enthusiastic Paul Allen voice you can do.
Absolutely not. But I will tell you that when you're Samford and not Stanford and you're opening your season at number 3 Purdue, this is what you do. They used 5'7" Dallas Graziani for the opening tip against 7'4" All-America Zach Edey. He won the tip and then the game 98-45. The picture, though, of these two guys who, again, are both humans, so drastically different. I don't think there's another species on the planet that has the wide array of sizes that we do. Like, a grown elephant's a grown elephant. They're not like 3 tons against 1 ton.
We talked about that with our greatest short athlete of all time, that you actually, in order to get on the list, you needed a photo of you against a bigger person, like the Jose Altuve with Aaron Judge both standing next to each other.
This will be great for that. Zach Edey, wasn't he around? He played against David Robinson in the 80s at this point. How is this guy still in college basketball? What's happening
The
here?
COVID year.
Yeah. The COVID decade.
Oh, this picture is great. This goes in our gallery of Manute Bowl photos. Wonderful.
NBA last night, the Clippers lost James Harden's debut, 111-97 at the Knicks. Harden 17 points, 6 assists in 31 minutes. LeBron scored 30. The Lakers came up short in Miami, 108-107. Bam Adebayo, 22 points and 20 boards. Luka and Kyrie scored the Mavs' final 13 points in a 117-102 win in Orlando. Steph Curry had 34 in the Warriors' 120-109 win in Detroit. And Nikola Jokic, 35 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists in the Nuggets' 134-116 win over the Pelicans. Then he ran his own post-game press conference.
Actually, I can just talk because I know what you're going to ask. You ready, guys?
And then he talked for 2 minutes about what they did well, what they didn't do well, and then he left without taking any actual questions.
There you go. By the way,
there's more to this guy than meets the eye.
No, there's not.
He seems bored. Whoever said that last week.
So, by the way, I'm looking at this picture of the Samford guy. He's a 5'8", bald white guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Who does he look like if you kind of stare through squinted eyes? I think it's Connor Stallions. I think Connor Stallions took the jump against Zach Edey. You see it, right, Maggie?
He still has some eligibility left.
Yeah, isn't that he basically? I think he shaved the goatee from the CMU. Connor Stallions jumped center against Zach Edey yesterday. Prove me wrong.
I mean, he's our new Forrest Gump now. He's going to be everywhere.
Connor
Stallions tells history.
Yeah, any college football game through the years, look for him in the crowd somewhere.
All of a sudden, you're going to look back doing like peace agreements and like big political debates. It's like, what is Connor Stallions doing with Yasser Arafat?
Where's Waldo?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, boy.
The Chicago Cubs didn't need a manager, but they hired one yesterday anyway. Craig Counsell gets the gig, reportedly 5 years, $40 million. David Ross gets fired. We thought Counsell was picking between the Brewers and Mets. New York is now hiring Yankee bench coach Carlos Mendoza, who's not Connor Stallions. Hockey last night.
Can you prove that?
I will say this slowly to be safe. Don't want to actually make hockey smut. The Maple Leafs down the Lightning 6-5 in OT on a goal from Callie Yarn Croc. And MLS postseason, Real Salt Lake
Were you
forcing.
just sending a secret message to somebody in the audience?
Was that a Connor Stallions code?
Yes, exactly. I just triggered something in the outside world.
Which was his first name and which was his middle name and which was his
first
last
name is Callie and his last name is Yarncroc.
Oh, I think you said Yarn-Croc.
Carlos got it. I was stressing it so I didn't accidentally say it wrong.
Yeah.
And create a bad word.
Oh, a Ben Roethlisberger situation. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, MLS postseason, Real Salt Lake forcing a decisive Game 3 with the Houston Dynamo in PKs after a 1-1 draw. And now I'm done. Back to Maggie only.
Thank you, Andrew Bogish. Kabang! How about that? It's not bang, it's kabang.
Kabang.
I mean, Breen is a Fordham guy as well, so I could have just advanced the bang call. You're right.
Kabang sounds one step away from boom goes to dynamite.
Kabang.
Kabang goes to dynamite. Wait, Maggie, you've done some games. Do you ever have a signature call?
No, I didn't do enough games to get a call.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of women's volleyball, which is great for a signature call.
What would spike? A big spike.
Yeah. They call them kills, actually.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Pancakes.
I'm noticing, by the way, women's volleyball is getting on TV a lot right now.
Great
it's
sport.
a super hot sport.
Great for TV. Thank you, Andrew Bogish. We'll keep workshopping some ideas for you.
I was watching the other day, and someone had a big spike, and they go, kabang.
How about this? You know what you should do? Jeffrey Howell in the chat was saying in the back of jerseys, you have like symbols and stuff. Why don't you incorporate a musical instrument? No one's ever done it before. And instead of your signature call,
Just do a guitar riff?
Kinda. Or like a kazoo. Like, woo. You'd be viral.
That would be my last broadcast.
They don't want to think outside the box over there in Fordham?
That seems too far outside the box.
But Michael Kay's been doing the same thing for a while. Let's spice this up a little bit.
You have to go back
Fordham
to,
guy, right?
I think the ABA used to do things like that. Like Will Ferrell's Tropic Thunders, the guy would have a kazoo.
You could have like cymbals, castanets.
It has even like guitar or one of the
Wait, you're thinking
an accordion?
How about a tambourine?
All right.
Isn't this straight out of Slapshot? Didn't the hockey announcer have a piano?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking something.
Anyway, it's all good. Maggie's right. You got to
It all
spice this
works.
up. Listen, we're not going to notice the Rams are a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to break through unless you bring in castanets.
And you know what? I've been doing this for a long time straight. Maybe it is time to go to the kazoo. That's how I can finally get a promotion.
They're going to be like, all of a sudden, the Knicks call. And James Dolan's like, I play the kazoo.
Get me the kazoo guy.
Yeah. Someone in their car, is that a harpsichord on the Fordham?
That must be a Quisenberry 3.
That's
okay.
a didgeridoo. I love it.
Excuse me while I rock the guitar here at the end of the quarter.
That can only mean one thing. Fordham beat Dartmouth.
Bogish, thank you so much. Coming up, we're deciphering some red flags, some green flags. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff. All right, well, we noticed a couple things that have been happening in college football. How do I set this up? Things that have been happening in college football that we're not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Is it a red flag or is it a green flag? We're going to decipher that for you. EJ's going to set us up. We're going to knock them down. Let's go. What music is this?
I thought it fit. I don't know what we got. So anyway, we're doing red flag, green flag.
Okay.
And we're going to start
it has a little bit of a bass.
Yeah,
okay.
you go. Yeah, it's going to come in. Yeah.
For a second, I thought it was like just a little...
Yeah, no.
Like a lullaby.
No, we're good here. So red flag, green flag. So I'll start with Jim Harbaugh, who decided amid all these allegations to invite Ric Flair, the quote-unquote dirtiest player of the game, into his locker room to talk to his players. Green flag or red flag?
What? This is the greenest of green flags. Wait, even if you think Michigan is a cheater and you hate them and you went to Ohio State, bringing in Ric Flair is always a green flag or a green light. It's a green flag or green.
Yeah, it should be red flags, green lights, I guess.
Yeah, this is the brightest green. This is Kelly green. It's so green.
No, I don't. This is basically an admission. It's like you think we're doing something wrong, something nefarious. So let's bring in someone who, what is the nickname? Dirtiest player in the game?
The dirtiest player in the game. Let's
just bring him in to leave no doubt. How Jim Harbaugh is going to continue to say he had no idea about the sign stealing scandal is beyond me.
Crazy. All right, let's get a Caleb Williams, who after their loss to USC's loss to Washington, was crying in his mother's arms in the stands, something that now has gone viral, that video. So green flag or red flag that Caleb Williams cries in the stands after a game?
Listen, I think it's actually a green flag. I think a lot of people believe guys on their way to the NFL, this is just a stepping stone. We talk about, hey, should he play in the bowl game? Should he even play the rest of the season? Well, this disappointment of a year obviously meant a lot to him. He wasn't just looking for the first exit out to be the number one pick in the NFL, Perloff. He actually cares about winning and losing in college football. I think it's a good sign.
I think we're just trying to amuse ourselves by finding green flags or red flags for Caleb Williams. I think the day he stepped onto that field against Texas and when he was at Oklahoma, he was the number one overall pick. There's no flags that are relevant. There's nothing this dude can do. Crying, you say what you want about it. Trying to met negatives, this is not one to me. He is so far and away the number one pick.
All right, and finally, we have Coach Prime, who decided after weeks of struggles with the Colorado offense to change play callers mid-season. So, red flag or green flag, Coach Prime changing play callers mid-season?
I mean, this is the first big red flag for me. You have Sean Lewis 6 weeks ago was the genius of college football. He created this high-powered offense out of nowhere. I think there was a lot of rumors that he might even be maybe replace Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. I heard that somewhere. And all of a sudden, he's not the play caller anymore mid-season. This is the first big misstep to me of Deion. Everything else has been a hit.
I actually don't mind this at all. This is understanding that something has gone wrong with the offense. It's clearly the offensive line, obviously. They're having issues. They can't block for him, rather. He's taking tons of sacks. Maybe that's a little of him hanging onto the ball. But I'm okay with a head coach making a change midseason, and it's not like he's making a lateral move. He's going to a former NFL play caller in Pat Shurmur, who obviously knows a thing or two, but they still lost. That's another part. They still lost to Oregon State.
It is pretty crazy that Pat Shurmur's just hanging out on the bench there. Like, who else is there? We're going to bring in Rob Chazinski or some other one-time coach. I mean, Pat Shurmur I know he was a Giants head coach. It was terrible. He's a great...
And the Browns head coach was terrible.
He's a great play caller. He's gone back. Because I'm saying that because he was with the Eagles, of course. And he was with the Vikings. He's really good. No, this is weird by Deion. Honestly, you're so close to the end of the year. They're 3 games back. I think you sort of cut the knees out of Sean Lewis's future by doing this. That's what I don't like about it. I feel like Deion owes a debt to his assistant coaches for really helping them get this incredible start.
I don't know. Don't you think that he could still go on and get a head coaching job somewhere else?
I mean, this clearly hurts him, though.
It definitely does.
I mean, to Sean Lewis's credit or to something he could look to, I mean, remember, Sean Payton was almost kind of notoriously fired from play calling with the Giants in 2000 when they went on to go to the Super Bowl. Jim Fassel took over play calling duties, and then Sean Payton ended up becoming Sean Payton. Like it didn't kill his coaching career that he lost play calling duties early.
That was
NFL
famous
career.
In 2000.
It was famous in New York. It's the biggest deal
what?
that Sean Payton got removed from play calling.
Listen, when you work in the same office as Tiki Barber, these stories just kind of circulate in the ether. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it, and you're going to have to pass the Casamigos to EJ because he's going to need something to take the edge off, and that is his decision last night not to accept the near courtside tickets from Andrew Perloff to go watch his beloved Knicks. No, he had to stay home to watch the Jets?
I texted EJ. EJ, you want to come front row Knicks Clippers? And what did you say?
I said, I think I want to watch this Jet game tonight. But what Perloff did not put in the text was, you want to go front row Knicks game. That was missing in the text. It was,
he was
want to go
testing
Knicks
you.
game tonight.
He was testing your loyalty. Would you want to sit in the upper deck with him, just to go bond?
I saw Perloff's post from last year, and I saw his post from Madison Square Garden during the playoffs, and I saw they were close.
Yeah.
So I said,
feet on the court.
I said, these might be the same seats. I don't know for sure, but then you have the ultimate sports fan question. Is it tacky to ask, where are the seats?
Yes.
It is 100% tacky. You
Can't
cannot ask that.
Can't do it. Okay, well, our poll would beg to differ. We put it out at Maggie and Pearl. When you're invited to a sporting event, is it tacky to ask where the seats are first? And 64% say no. You can just straight up ask, like, are we sitting in the lower deck, the lower bowl?
If that happened to me, I would judge the person that's asking me where the seats are if I invite you to a sporting event.
I'd be offended.
And by the way, EJ, if I get high up seats, would you go? I thought you loved the Knicks.
I do love the Knicks, but look, the Jets were in a playoff race, and I thought it was bad juju to say I'm going to not watch the Jets. And bad juju for the show, by the way, because the Jets were going to be the lead to not watch this game to go see my Knicks in Game 7 of a 82-game season.
Going to be honest, I think somehow we would have managed. I think we would have found a way to talk about the Jets because it's been the same conversation since the 4th snap of the year when Aaron Rodgers went down. Why didn't they get a better backup quarterback?
Carlos, do you have any plans on February 3rd, by the way?
Hey, I'm waiting for your text.
Okay. Oh, because LeBron's in town, and I got those seats for that game.
We can't do this now. Give me a break.
Yeah. Sorry. Maybe, EJ, we could do a GoFundMe. You get StubHub tickets for that game.
No, he can't.
Me and Carlos will be in the front row.
The Jets have a really big game against the Houston Texans, so he's going to be all tied up that
February,
day.
It just might be in the Super Bowl if Aaron Rodgers comes back healthy.
The Jets are going to have to be getting ready for the combine is what's going to happen.
Took me a while to find what game would hurt the most. Is it the Warriors or the Lakers that would hurt them? I think it's got to be the Lakers, right?
Warriors. I've never seen Steph play live. He's my favorite athlete.
Amazing.
If I didn't watch him, that would hurt.
Carlos, keep February 29th open too. Warriors in town.
Also, EJ, you might want to hurry up on that. I don't know how many years Steph has left. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you, Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogish and Andrew Kaplan. Weedos, coffee drinkers, callers.
You're in a 5-minute break.